Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing there today? Let me get this to where a spot I can go at. Switch over here. And then let's just pause the musica in the background here if I can find which channel everything is on. There we go. That'll be a good spot for it. Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing there today? Let me do my first things first, as I always say hello. Let me move the camera up just a tiny bit. Down just a tiny bit. And sure, we'll go with that right there. Let me lock in my chair. That'll help me out as well. There we go. All right, let me scroll to the top here. Good morning to everyone out there. Lorraine, baby. Pat, how are you guys all doing? Kana, hello, hello, hello. I'll make sure I got everybody here. Hopefully I can scroll down, get it good enough. And oh, hello, Ethan. How you doing there, buddy? How's everything going on with you? And Amanda, hello. And Kimberly, top of the morning to everyone out there. As always, I've got my coffee and water. I'm ready to help you out with some art, with some reviews, which will be fun. Going to be on for like an hour or two. Then I'm not sure what I'm going to do with my day. It's going to be 94 degrees here. Don't mind my mess in the background. Don't judge me, please. Don't judge me. I haven't had a chance to clean up, doing some stuff, things. There's one of the art reviews right there. I was taking a picture of it. Maybe I'll show you at the end or near in the middle of the stream what we're working on. How is everyone doing? Anybody doing anything fun today? Like I was saying, it's going to be 94 degrees, so I'm thinking I might go to the pool later. We'll see. And do a little bit of art, but probably when it cools off. It is too hot to be upstairs to do some painting. I'm doing fantastic this morning. Thank you very much, Kana. And top of the morning to you before the crow's nest. Hello. 82 is not bad. 82 is good. And Puffingham Place. Hello. I like to do my walks, so we'll see how much of a walk I can do. I usually do a walk in the morning. My neighborhood is about half a mile, so I usually do 2 laps to do a mile. Sometimes I'll do 4 in the morning, so I get 2 miles in, and then in the evening I like to do like between like 4 and 8 laps, and that's kind of like my exercise. And then when it's not too hot, do a little bit of weightlifting or something. And if it's I guess not too hot again, I'll jog rather than walk. But right now it is it's just too hot to jog. Oh my gosh, Amanda, it's 2 a.m. in Australia. Well, I'm feeling kind of bad because probably looking at my little cruddy face is not a good way to go to sleep too. The good news is you know, I have somewhat of a baritone voice, so maybe I'll just lull you to sleep a little bit there, and that might help you out. I'm usually pretty good at putting women to bed. Not in the good way, in the bad way where I'm kind of boring. What's up, Ryan Owens? How you doing there this morning, buddy? How's everything going on with you? It's cold outside. Ugh. I like the hot weather, don't get me wrong. It's perfect for when I want to do outdoor activities, and I love just chilling by the pool and doing some fun things like that. But when I have to work, my house is 2 stories, so all the heat goes to the top, which sucks. Where I paint is just 15 feet that way. So the room upstairs, it sucks when I want to paint. Even more so, I got to set up lights, camera equipment. Well, I guess camera would be over there. Sound, and so it becomes even more cluttered than when you turn the lights on. Not that LEDs generate a lot of heat, close to none, but just adding any more heat, you get hot and stuffy, and then like, oh, I'll do a painting review. This will be cool. Or painting review. I'll do a painting tutorial or painting tips, and so it shows me painting. I'm just like, oh man. All right, so make sure your liquid white on. A really cool trick you can do is take your fan brush and, oh my god, is just take it across the canvas and just go back and forth really quick, and you can, oh Jesus Christ, and yeah, you can see if there's some globs on the fan. Oh my god, it's just like, it's just too hot, and you start sweating, and you don't want to look like a hot sweaty mess on camera, because then people just pick on you because you're the low-hanging fruit, and they're just like, oh, why is this guy sweating so much? Is he out of shape? One, yes, but it's just because it's a hot room, and that doesn't come well across camera. It's a real huge shame. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have a hard time enunciating this. I'm gonna just go with Lava Anna, Lava Anna, Lava Anya, perhaps. How you doing there this morning? Good morning from Ireland. I have been to Ireland, and I love Ireland. I would have to say, other than probably Canada, Ireland had the most welcoming people I've ever been around, and it was awesome. Been to Dublin, Cork, Kinsale, Waterford. Another place I'm forgetting in there in the middle. I'd love to go back to Ireland and go to the north side this time. Okie dokie Finoki. You love the heat? I lived in Africa for a couple years. Oh my gosh. I like heat too, to some degree, but not heat that feels like it's ripping out your soul. Alrighty, let's get I know I have a few people that want to do some of the art reviews. So if this is your first time here, I'm just clicking on a couple buttons, getting things out of the way. If this is your first time here, what we do is you get to look at my beautiful, handsome face while we take a look at your art. YouTube members get first pick. It's the perk that I give. And if you have the ability, you can become a member on my channel. We have a low entry member at $1. I really appreciate the support. All the support goes back into the channel. As you can see, I am currently working towards a new wireless microphone. I currently use a wired lavalier, which goes under my shirt, up through here, and sticks out. You probably see it. It pulls down on my shirt in some weird ways every now and then. I like to get a wireless one so that way I can kind of move a little bit around for some future ideas I want to do. So support goes into that. That's what we're going to build for the next one. And then I don't know where I'll put the next improvement. I know a lot of people, maybe this is a good question for all of you out there. What would you like to see more of? I've had people say they want to see more camera angles, which can be difficult to do sometimes because I currently use one 4K camera, which is a very expensive camera. But I know people have said they want to see different angles of how I apply paint, different angles of like maybe my palette and how I mix, things like that, for example. Or perhaps you want to see different lighting. Or perhaps you want to see, I don't know, if there's something that you'd like to see more on my channel of that you think would help improve the content or perhaps your understanding, let me know. And then we can start building towards that. I do have to get some stands. I have to get some new stands shortly. The stands I currently use to hold up my lights aren't as tall for me since I'm a tall gentleman. I'd like to get some taller ones. That'll probably be something, but the sad part is you won't see how that improves the content. It's just more like a quality of content life improvement for myself. But it's important to me because I am tired of hitting my head on lights. But with all that said, we will be doing art reviews. I had 2 people send me theirs already, which I need to grab. So give me one moment while I open up my Explorers here. Grab the nitty gritty, open up my folder, go to my YouTube reviews that we do here. There it is. And there we go. So I know Baby sent me one. I believe Lorraine sent me one. I'm going to open up these right here. If you are interested, and you're probably wondering, how would I send this gentleman my art to review? The easiest ways for me are currently Instagram and Twitter. My information should be below in the video description so that way you can click through it and send it to me. I have realized that if you are sending your information to me on Instagram via Facebook, it does not come through because my Facebook is not connected to my Instagram, mostly for privacy and whatnot. So if you want to send me one, let me know if you send it through Facebook because then I can grab it through my phone, download it, and then email it to me. Ooh, these are looking really cool, baby. I'm going to do the colored one. I think the color one will show up a little bit better. That'll be fun. There we go. Lorraine, I sent yourself to me because I showed that you sent me one. I chose your waterfall painting just to let you know. Yeah, you might have to resend it to me, Kana, so that way it pops to the top of my Twitter messages. Do you mind doing that? And then Ryan Owens, you may have to do the same thing as well. I'm not a popular man on Instagram or Twitter, but I do get a lot of DMs, believe it or not, for art and help and assistance. So it pushes everything in weird orders sometimes. So if you don't mind, I would appreciate it if you could resend it to me. All right, let's label these baby. Whoops, didn't mean to pop that open. We got this as Lorraine. There we go. Oh, you just did it 2 minutes ago? Well, then I should probably take a look. You said Instagram? Oh, yeah. There. See? That one came through. So let's see. As long as that's on a Facebook message, I should be able just to grab it from the desktop here. And also, if anybody out there in the internet world on YouTube that's streaming or watching the VOD at the moment, hello, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. I would appreciate if you can follow me on my social media accounts. Those really help me grow, and they help me out a ton with thingies. Let's see. Can I download this as a bigger image? I guess this is... What do these dots mean on the top corner? Oh, I guess that means nothing. I guess that means like. Okay, we'll grab that one. This one is Ryan. All right, we got 3 so far. And then I need to grab Kana. Kana's got to be sending me through Twitter. Is anybody going to be working on anything fun this weekend for art? True, it's Irish people are so kind and so lovely, my dear. But the weather is bad here. It's always rainy. Are you on like the north side of Ireland, the middle, or west or east, or the south side of Ireland? I was very fortunate that when I went, we didn't get any rain. We actually had beautiful, mild weather, and it was awesome. Let's see. Oh, okay. I got Kana's coming in. Oh, there we go. Thank you. It just popped to the top, Kana. Perfect. All right. Let me label this Kana. Okay. So we will start with Baby and Lorraine and Kana, since those are my YouTube members that I have. It's a perk that I give, so it's going to be awesome. You're interested in knowing metallic paints. I have 3. And they're basic paints that I actually do like to some degree, but I wish they were better. I'm still on the search for a metallic paint that blows my mind. I guess that's the best way I can put it. I love how some have that metallic iridescence reflection in it that give off a good feel. I have not found a gold that, like, in my mind is a vibrant, bright gold. I have found coppers that I like, and I have found silvers that I have liked, but I have not found a gold that blows my mind just yet, unless I do like some kind of thick stacking with it. And what I mean by that is like layering on layering on layering, so I get a bunch of density of the pigment in there. Hey, what's up, KR? How you doing today, buddy? So metallics would be an interesting one that I would love to experiment with. Oh, Pat, you sent yours via Instagram yesterday. Why did that one not show up? Or, to be honest, I was not doing a good job of looking. I just went to the first one that was in the stack. Instagram. Oh, there you are, Pat. I see it right here. Oh, is it the wave one? The wave one that... I think this is a Facebook message. Was it the wave one that you sent me the other day where I wrote you back saying it was a good job on the Better of the Wave? Because that I did see, but for some reason it's not showing up on the desktop version. So it's probably a Facebook message. So let's go to my phone. Let's go down to Pat. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you sent it as like one of those Instagram like timed messages. So I can't download it because it doesn't show me as an image. It just shows me that you sent an image. That was in one of the time reels. You have to send me the actual image. So, Pat, if you could please do that, let me know, and then I will grab it and pull it down. I like neon colors, too. I like neon colors for doing acrylic flows. Neons are really good on black canvases. Very beautiful. KR, what are you doing today, man? Anything fun, anything cool? You'd love to hear more from you, Wild. Oh, yes. You can have all the voices that you want. Sexy. Lava Anna. Let me grab that while I'm here. Lava. How is it? It's like Anya. Anya. All right, cool. I think we got enough to start here. If anybody wants to add, let me know. You may have to. It always helps me. If you're not familiar with YouTube streaming, if you put the @ symbol, which is Shift 2. And then Wild creates, and then your message. It highlights in chat for me so I can see everything a little easier, which obviously makes responding to your questions, concerns, comments a lot easier for me. Oh, Daniel, these are beautiful too. Okay, Daniel, remind me at the end here, and then I'll have to grab Pat's. I'm still waiting for Pat's to come through on this side. So Pat, remind me here in just a moment. Let's get into a review. And then after this review, please remind me if there's any more that I need to get. You're in the middle near Dublin. I loved Dublin. I went there when I was like 20, probably somewhere between 26 and 28. And I didn't realize like how much of a nightlife there was in Dublin for restaurants, food, fun, bars, obviously, part of the culture. But it was cool. I liked it. And they liked Americans, so I was happy with that too. Had a really fun time. Don't forget, like the video. I know I always forget everything. I'm a I'm a slow person when it does this. All right, let's start off with babies. I'm going to load up my Photoshop here really quick and drop in an image. And I'm going to duplicate my image right here real quick because it's the first thing I'm going to do. And let's go over to our review side here. Now, if this is your first time here, first of all, welcome. Or if you're watching on the VOD, welcome. Leave me a comment. I would say what we do here is it's an open forum. If you like things in the picture or painting or content that we're looking at, let the person know. Let them what you like, what you don't like, color combinations. Let them, you know, the rule of whatever you think it should be balanced on the image. We're an open forum here to help everybody be more constructive and grow and learn. And that's what I want to shape the community into. My job here is to tear the painting down, but then build you back up and give you just some simple tips, tricks, perspective. And I like to give not a hand hold. I like to be honest. I like to be straight up with you so that way we don't have to beat around the bush, and you'll appreciate that because I want nothing more than for you to be happy with the art that you're creating in the future, and I want you to feel like you're growing. Sometimes I feel like you need some honesty. You need some honesty. I'm not going to be, oh, very good golf clap. I love the black. Oh, wait, that's not black. It's gray. Oh, wait, that's not gray. It's white. Oh, you almost got black. No. We're going to be honest here, and I'm going to help you out. And that's my job. Tori, how you doing there? How do you send artwork? Currently, it's the easiest for me if you send it on Instagram or Twitter. Information can be found in the video description below. I would also appreciate it if you could follow. And how are you doing this morning, Tori? Alrighty, let's start with the basics of what we got here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit as soon as I can find my cursor. Oh, and before we do that, let's, yeah, that's probably a good size. Let me change my colors here. We'll do red for kind of bad, obviously, and green for somewhat goodish, or just different layer in general, if you can. Let's zoom in to this really quick. We have an awesome little simple creative idea here that I love. We're just gonna call this the cliff diver, if you will, baby. And I saw you sent me a message above and I get a chance to read it, which I guess I could probably do here in just a moment, but let's look at this. We got a beautiful, beautiful low-hanging sunset gradient going on with soft reds that convert to like a peach pink, a starburst orange, and yellow as it cascades down and across. And we got a nice little vapor wave coming off of our sun here. We have either a midground or background. I don't think these are necessarily mountains. I would consider this more like a cove or a jetty, perhaps, like encapsulating the stillness of water. Then we have a foreground, obviously a cliff with our diver coming right off of it. And then we have our foreground to midground water element in here with our reflection of the sun. This looks very good. You should be very proud. This is an awesome idea. And I love the flow of the painting. I love simplicity in a lot of my artworks. That's just me. I'm a simple man. You got your shipment of neon paints yesterday? You have to let me know which manufacturer you went with, and let me know how they go for you. We don't get all. That's true. Nobody gets a trophy here. No participation awards. Hey, what's up, Daniela? How you doing there tonight? Or sorry, this morning. Good morning. Fighting mosquitoes and summer thunderstorms here in Canada. Oh my good gosh. Well, stay safe. Use citronella candles. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have here. So in the elements of your painting, oh, first, if you could, baby, please let everybody know what you think, what number painting this is for you. I know you wrote above that you said you weren't too happy and you repainted it, but also let us know what what's a medium of paint this is. Acrylic, watercolor, gouache, oil. That way people have an understanding what you're doing. To me, looks like acrylic, but I've been wrong before. Sometimes hard to tell in a picture, but looks like acrylic. You've gotten a lot better with your blending of your colors back and forth that we have up here. Oops, didn't mean to write B in my own chat. There we go. It looks like you've gotten a lot better of blending your colors up in the section that we got here. So everything's looking really, really good and starting to be more fluid. I would say, though, it looks like you probably started painting from, where's my mouse? There we go. It looks like you started painting from the top and then worked your way down. Now, I could be wrong, and the only reason I say that is generally, now it's not always true, it's your world, your element, you're allowed to do whatever you're painting, but since we've established that the sun is right here, your sun would be cascading from these general directions because the source is the sun, and the sun source is pushing off in this direction. Thus, your yellow and your brightest areas should be right here. in this general vicinity, okay? So you should actually have most of your yellow cascading from down here and then slowly pushing up. Now you have a zigzag motion, which you're actually allowed to do if you want, but this brighter section of yellow should technically be down here, and then you should put more of a pink section right here, and then when the pink section's working up, it should go into a deeper, more bold red or orange. And that looks like the natural color temperatures that would be shifting within the spectrum. Now, like I said, skies do funky, wonky things depending on atmosphere, moisture, and all that. But if you were to put more of the yellow down here at the bottom, and then fade it up, and then take your darkest red / pink and then fade it down, you would actually have more of a natural gradient, and then you could throw in a little bit of like streaks of red, or sorry, well, you could do red, streaks of red and or yellow, and then blend those together to get pockets of orange, pockets of pink, pockets of, fill in the blank. And that would have more of a natural feel with it. Then I would go back and add what you did here with your vaporwave. I would probably add a little more white because you have made the sun so bright that it's blown out white, which is technically what it would be in most pictures and paintings. But you need to add a little bit of a haze of white around it just by gingerly blending on top of it to give it that natural haze and vaporwave look. Other than that, sky looks beautiful. It looks a little patchy up here in the corners. I can see a few little brush stroke marks. So I would say just personal preference of mine. If you don't like your painting, I don't like a painting that has half brush strokes, half smooth. I like a painting to either be all one consistency. I'm going to close this window over here for a second because I don't like how the lights are streaking behind me. Either work out all the brush strokes so your painting is even, or leave brush strokes across your entire element. Don't have like this be smooth, this be butter smooth, and then this be patchy, and then this be super patchy. It pulls the eye away. 1 second, please. There we go. I don't like it when light distracts you from my beautiful face. It's acrylic. Cool. Thank you for letting us know. You sent your art piece through Instagram. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Tori. Please let me know at the end of this review here, and I'll add it to the list. Just to let you guys know, YouTube members get first pick. So I work through the YouTube members first. Other than that, I love the elements of this. Now, I would say this, if this is a mountain range, it's set in properly for the elements of this painting. It wouldn't be this bold in color because you basically, since you have made I don't know why I removed that. Since you have made these mountains the same color, contrasts, vibrance, and saturation of this cliff here, you are technically saying these are all in somewhat the same area or element. Now, if they're rocks, like you just said, that's fine, but the perspective seems to be a little off. And I wouldn't really know how to fix it without looking at a picture because perspective building is one of the hardest things. I feel like rather than all being straight and with a slight curve, there should be some different planes to it. Like if you built one rock, you should probably have like some rocks come down and across and then some be up here. And I'm talking about the baseline for these at the moment. You need to have a little bit more motion so it breaks up the perspective of all this. Or you could probably simplify it and go across and then down and over rather than have all these striation peaks going through it. It's tough when you build jetties or rocks, and generally there would probably be gaps around it too. These feel like instead of doing rocks, you did baby mountains. Which not maybe necessarily have it all in there. It's just, it needs to be broken up a tiny bit, but it's not bad overall. You did a great job, I might say, Lorraine. I don't know if this comes through on your guys' side. I'll try to zoom in here. Or not Lorraine, I'm sorry, baby. You did a great job of adding little specular highlights that come across on the correct sides, may I say, of your rock formations. Great job. And I love, too, how you only brought it down in certain areas, which is basically stating that sun is coming over in certain areas and hitting this, and it's wrapping around certain parts of the mountain. That's a very advanced technique, and you should be very happy that you did that. You didn't go crazy. You didn't take your white and just go, okay, let's go like this now, because that's a highlight side, and then we'll go like this. No, highlights on rocks have certain parts that get over crevices or around crevices, and then get over peaks and go through cracks and breaks and all that stuff. So great job, and even more greater job remembering where your light source is and how it comes across and hits these places. The only critique I would say on something like this, baby, is again, since we established that our light source is right here, the highlights closest to this light source would be the most intense. Okay, so what you could do is the highlights that you put like right here, you could make pure white, and then as you worked on to these highlights that I'm highlighting in green here, you could make a little bit more diluted in your white, add a little bit of whatever this mountain color is, brown, black, maybe a little bit of blue or red from the sky that's reflecting down. It should get weaker and weaker as it's getting further away from our light source. And then as we get to like something over here and something right here, should be even weaker than this green one here. And that's just going to add a natural fade. And you know what, to be honest, that would probably help improve the depthness of the painting. Not that I don't feel like there's not depth in this painting, I just feel like this element, and I'm not good at this either, so it's very difficult to critique. I just feel like this whole element right here is very, very flat. Very, very flat. And I think adding those different highlights could help improve it. And you know what you did very, very decently is you kind of got the shading down on the mountains to fade. See how on your right-hand side over as we go this general direction, you have your fill of your highlight that comes down these hillsides. See how it's fading even more into black? Like you have a little bit here. Let's do this in green. You have a tiny bit here, a little bit more here, and then even more here, and then a lot here. You did very well with that. And then like you can even see it on the foreground element how well you did as well. So good job with fading your highlights and remembering your light sources. Cliffs are tough. Cliffs are tough. I may say you did a very good job with your highlights again. Building structure, building shape, building depth within something that has so many like ins and outs, ups and downs, and lefts and rights is very, very tough. Generally, most of your highlights would probably proceed down, or let's see. They would generally probably fade off in this general direction as they would push as the light goes down, making this mountain and cliff feel like it has more lift into it. And you did a pretty decent job. Like there wouldn't be too much highlight over here because this is probably a round-ish object. It's not flat. We're in a 3D environment, even though we're painting on 2D. You'd have your highlight fade off more on the bottom because light is having a hard time wrapping around this object. It generally hits the front and then kind of fades away. But you did a good job. The water to me should either be smoother or should have more movement in it, baby. It looks like the blending for some reason down here in this element didn't go as well, and I'm not entirely sure why. It feels like the canvas started drying or you ran out of paint and you're being a little stingy. There should be a lot more paint down here to make your water glossy smooth. And that would really add a lot to your painting as well. Then your sun highlight is here, which is okay that your reflection is over here because technically I guess your light is going across and wrapping over, but you would need to move this reflection vein. Actually, it would be going like this. It'd be going across and it would fade. So if we had something that was bigger, I'm gonna use a bigger brush, it would go from here and then it would go like even thin and it would fade down and away. The light would actually be dissipating away from this element. You actually made it increase, or actually it's about the same. It's the same thickness as it's going all the way across. It should be way thicker here because that's where the light source is, and then it gets thin and thin and thin and then fades away. And you should make these corners, you should really make this corner really dark because the light's having a hard time getting over here. This corner, not as much, but if you want to create a vignette, you should make this corner darker as well. Now let's get to, and then if you wanted to add little waves, just add little lines. Let's do this part in green. You should just add little lines that you fade in, and then as they get closer, make them bigger and bold. If you wanted to add movement, like there's little white caps or wind going across your water, then I think your diver looks good. However, the only problem I have with it, and I can't critique this, I'm not a good person, but I want you to pay attention. I'm assuming your diver here has broken their arms because they are just flailing up like they're broken. Perspective on arms is tough because I know you're trying to show them like they're diving out like a spread eagle bird here, but the arms are snapped in a weird direction. I'm assuming it's a woman. I'm just gonna say that I'm assuming a woman. Most people paint themselves. Oh, they're falling. Okay, well it looks like a dead body. Looks like a dead body. I was thinking more like a cliff diver. You have the head, and then the chest is kind of in a weird position. You have your chest kind of like up where your neck and Adam's apple would be, and then you kind of establish a stomach, and then like a pregnant belly, and then thighs and legs, and then you got butt. For something in this far of the distance, this isn't really close to us. This is kind of still in the distance. There would only be moderate shape. You would treat it like a mountain in the distance. You wouldn't put these big giant peaks and valleys. There wouldn't be much definition that the eye could see. So I would say put just slight, not elevations, enhancements. A slight over exaggerations, I guess, is what I'm going for. That'll make it look more natural as it comes across. But doing people in a painting is tough. The belly is her chest, yeah. She's just got bumps in kind of weird places, is all. And body figures is very tough, very tough. If you can just create the illusion, which is head, a little bit of wisps of hair. If it's a woman, adding a chest helps give a little bit of a bump. And then think of like somewhat hourglass shape. Go in a little bit towards the hip, then give a bump for the butt and a little thickness for the thighs, and then work down and across for the legs, and then you could fade out just a tiny bit of a foot. And that'd be good. But I do appreciate for an advanced technique, you remember to put the highlights in the correct spot. Look, you got the highlights under the chin, chest, belly, thighs, shins, and the feet. And that looks very good. You're getting way better with like remembering basic techniques. She's got beyond a big booty. She's got the booties of booties. But I wouldn't give to date that in high school. But you're doing so much better, baby, with like remembering the basic techniques that we talk about day in, day out, to where your art is starting to be next level every time you're painting. Because sorry, I was reading a different sentence. It's because you're remembering so many basic elements that when you imply those basic elements, it just makes your painting that you're currently working on already have a higher bar that you set the standard for. And I feel like every time you're painting a new painting, you're meeting or exceeding that bar that you learned from your last one. And so this is fantastic, and I appreciate you trying something new and different. If I was to simplify this or give my little idea, I would paint the entire sky and water in one go. I would make my horizon line obviously wherever I wanted, but I would paint it all in one go. So that way this entire canvas was essentially blocked in with color and set to a smooth consistency that I liked. Then I would add my sun and my vaporwave. Then I would add my rocks and cliffs, but I would give them more of the illusion of depth by having more of a faded color to them, because I want my concentration should be here and my foreground element. These are the two most impactful things. So I should take away my concentration or my eyesight line from here by usually dissipating this more in the background. Then I would throw in my cliffs, and then I would add a little bit of movement, or sorry, my one cliff. This is my important cliff over here. Then I add my little bit of movement in water. And I guess depending on how your vibe or feel is for this painting, I don't know what this painting means to you. It could just be a person that is on the edge, stressful, anxiety, maybe feeling depressed. So you could say they're giving up and just giving up on themselves and letting go, essentially. Or it could be somebody who's so far out the edge that they need something new to revitalize their life and be exhilarated. So just take the plunge necessarily, okay? So you see how those are two different feelings within the same painting, and adding little elements can help accentuate the feel and vibe of a painting. If it's a darker feel, you should put more of a vignette that encapsulates this person is surrounded in darkness or darker colors. If it's a New Hope or a cliff diver, maybe making the water more calm. They're diving into calm water, so it's safer. It's more of a welcoming spot. If there was a lot of churn up in this water, not such an inviting element in the painting, so maybe tough times ahead. You see how adding simple little elements can make a change in a person's perspective of the painting or give off a different feel. Whenever you're painting something, obviously at that time when you're painting, you are feeling something. And putting that emotion into the elements or the landscape really do pay off. So I like to listen to a lot of music. I'm sure a lot of you out there do too. Music has a huge influence. You're listening to a lot of like hardcore, punk rock, something a little more fast and upbeat. You'll notice that that music vibe and flow and cadence really works its way into your painting. You work on something more calm from like classical. Somebody's calling me from a number I do not recognize. Deny. Something that's more classical, calming, has a more natural vibe. You'll notice that your colors and flow of your painting sometimes come off more natural and calming and tranquil. Use those influences to make your painting speak a little bit more to you. Oh my God, Danielle, I did not notice the old man's face. Yes, look, eyebrow, eye right here, nose, upper bridge, or I guess the nose comes down like that. Then we have the upper bridge, then lips coming down like that. Look how cool that is. Whoop. And then we got like kind of like the neck right here. Oh, yeah. And then we got he's wearing a fancy like captain's hat. There we go. He's a police officer. He's got a star on it. I don't know how to draw stars. There we go. And he's looking at you. Look at that. The face of God. It's actually kind of cool that you can see this. Hey, what up, Hylu? How you doing there? I wonder if that was intentional to draw a person there. This is very good. I like this a lot. I love seeing what you guys create. You guys are so creative. So creative. That was a beautiful one, baby. Thank you for sharing. That was very, very cool. Very, very awesome. Hi, Lou. How's your day going? A dark painting where she's falling backwards versus an inspiration dive off a cliff. Either way, great job. Yeah, you know, that's actually a good perspective too. I mean, obviously the way that you represent your element of your person with their action, obviously in the painting, represents a strong emotion. That would be up to the individual artist, obviously. But yeah, if you had something like falling backwards, like American Rejects, like Move Along, and you're falling into like the pool, it's, you know, the representation of you just going backwards and letting go and giving up, and or letting go of everything that's not in your control. Those are powerful images. Diving forward, you see what's happening to you. Could also be a powerful image of, you know, you see certain things ahead, or you have confidence. They can all represent different things, but that's the cool thing about being an artist, is you have that power, you have that control. And sometimes it doesn't have to mean anything at all. When I went to art school, we had one guy in my school. His name was Ollie. Can't think of his last name at the moment. He's a very handsome man for some reason. I don't know why he was in art school. Could have been like an Abercrombie and Fitch model. It was insane. But every time he would show one of his projects, every little thing had to mean something. Everything had to mean something. And it pissed me off. Because like even like a scene that would move one scene to the next. I went to film school. He'd be like, yeah, I put this tree right here because it represents the separation between the son and the father. And you can see how the tree is wilting away. And it's not holding up its shape because the son's connection to his father has degraded over time to alcoholism, and he can't face him anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I get the symbolism. Maybe that's not the best symbolism for the scene where they're just walking by and the tree's there for half a second. Maybe a tree's a tree. You know? It doesn't always have to mean something. Your point as the artist and creator is to make certain parts pay off. Not every part has to pay off. If every part pays off, nothing pays off. Like, I want a lot of red in this painting because red's going to be a bold and vivid image. Well, to get a bold and vivid image, you need contrast. So you need blacks and contrasting colors to make that red pop even more, to show it off. And But if I made the whole painting red, technically I accomplished my goal, made you notice the red. But does it really make you notice the red? Because the whole thing's red, then it's not really being bold or standing out. Tyler, you're at work right now? Hopefully it's not going to be a long one for you. Hopefully it's not too hot where you're at too, dude. Handsome dude that went, yeah, handsome dude that went to art school. Yes, hi Lou caught me. I am talking about myself. You sent yours on Instagram. All right, let me grab it here really quick. There we go. Thank you, Pat. I'm gonna grab it right now. All right, cool, Pat. Alrighty, let's get to our next one. Thank you for letting us take a look at your art, baby. Let's move our way to Lorraine. You never know I did live sessions. I do. I try to do them once every 2 weeks or so. It really depends on what my work schedule is, how much free time I have, if I feel like doing it. I don't think a lot of people realize that live streaming actually takes a lot of work and effort. Got to wake up early. I got to have a breakfast. I get to hang out with all you fun people and talk about art and show off your art. And we all get to learn from it. But my voice is done by the end of these things because I talk so damn much. But everything I say is pure gold. Also, KR, how are you doing this morning? That painting, it's either that painting, Lorraine. There's a painting that's all white with one line and a red dot, or a painting, I believe, that's all white with one red dot. I can't remember the artist's name, but it's a super famous painting, which to me, I like to consider pretentious art, but it's okay. Everybody's allowed to have their own perceptions of what they think is art and what it means. But like that painting is like worth like millions of dollars. That's the goal. I want to get so famous in life that I can draw just a couple of lines and a dot and sell it for millions of dollars. I want to know how to make. I would love to be known as the pretentious artist. Like, oh, the red dot represents the darkness in my soul. You see, the canvas is all white because it's a void, because I don't see colors through my mind. I only see emotions. But this one red pierced my heart to where I could see just a little bit of hope in the eyes of a child. The eyes of a child. And in that moment when I broke down and I started crying into my latte because it didn't have enough cinnamon, I realized that there needs to be more hope in this world. And within that hope, I had enough life to bring in just one color. That color was red. It vibrated my soul. See, I just need to be like, boom, sold, $1 million. It's all about crafting a story when selling art. Some idiot out there is going to buy it for $1 million. Very good at weaving a story and selling art. One of these days, I'll teach you guys how to do that. It's not stupid art. You're doing good, KR? I'm glad you are, dude. I always love it when you guys tune in. All right, let's move to our next one. This one is from Lorraine. Love taking a look at everybody's art here. Let's duplicate this layer really quick. This is beautiful. I actually love how this is formed. I'm going to get my ugly face out of here for just a second so you guys can take a look at the entire painting. I know, cha-ching. Can you imagine? If I ever sell a painting for $1 million and you guys are still with me through the years that we're building this awesome community and having fun, splashing colors and drinking whiskey, you will see me popping so many bottles of champagne on this stream here. It'll be insane. I will probably go through $100 bottles of champagne just spraying me in the face, and I will love every moment of it. All right, we have Lorraine's painting here. Lorraine, would you please let us know what medium this is done in, and for the viewing audience out there, what number painting you think this is for you, so that way people have kind of like a reference or idea of where you are in your painting career. You just sold one for 10K? Oh, hell yeah. Share the love with me, baby. Share the love. All right, gotta get a drink of water. Oh, it'd be plenty of big bottles, Hilo. So we've got a beautiful painting here. I'm gonna just say this is like a lush scene. I don't know technically if this is a forest or a little grove or whatever we have, but it's beautiful nonetheless. We have our light, our godlight rays coming in from an element off to the side of our canvas. We've got encapsulation of, oh geez, just so much foliage of trees, bushes, and everything. And then I'm assuming this is a giant log coming down here that is broken into the water, which is awesome of an element. Waterfalls coming down and splashing. A nice little block of more foliage with some cliffs, rock cliffs, let's just say, cutting into our riverbank here. And then water. This is awesome. I love the flow of this painting. This is a really, really cool painting here. You're sitting in Starbucks here and scrolling on YouTube and you saw her live. I hope you're doing great. I am doing fantastic. Thank you, KR. I'm glad that I could help you and other artists. And I must know, what are you getting yourself at Starbucks? Are you a pretentious latte person? A very basic coffee person? Maybe delicious tea with a little bit of honey? And or are you getting breakfast? It was at a wine house. Ask them if they need any awesome wild creates art. All right, let's pull my face back up here. There we go. And let's take a look at this painting here. So the only big critique that I could say I have this, Lorraine, is the painting looks a little flat. Okay. Now you've got beautiful highlights and contrasting colors and you have some depth here. However, I feel like most of the transitions that you have fall a little short with the depth that you're trying to build in this painting. Now, there's not necessarily a lot of depth because these elements that you have in here aren't, let's move this brush here. Like this element here doesn't necessarily have to be far in front of this element here. And this element here doesn't have to be that much further in front of that element there. Okay. But it just feels like it's a little flat. And I feel like this painting would pop a little bit more if we could build a little bit more of a natural depth in the painting. So to do that, we need to introduce darks in the correct area and lights in the correct area. So let's establish one thing, okay? We know our light source is somewhere way back here. It's more like way off canvas, but I can't draw off canvas. So we're just gonna say it's right here, okay? Now we've established that light is cutting through openings right here and cascading in this general direction, okay? So we have to accentuate that. Yeah, well, this would be foreground elements, P11 or P110. So when we're building here, you need to have your brightest brights in this general area up in here, and then everything else needs to fade away. So you need to find out what's gonna be the most specular highlight spots. A specular highlight is where you have an object. Sure, coffee cup. Where you have an object, and look, you can almost see it. Let's put it over here. Now you can see how my coffee cup is all evenly exposed, all right? But you can see on the top of the rim here, where the light source is hitting it, it's getting a very bright white light, all right? This is what's called a specular highlight. It's where the light is hitting it so intensely that it's basically blowing out the viewpoint of the camera and or your eyeballs. And when you use specular highlights to build a lot of depth. Now, you'll notice if I turn my cup into where you can see into the mouth of the cup, you're gonna notice that the specular, if I can move my head out of the way, I'm sorry. Here, we'll do it on this side. You'll notice that the specular highlights stand out a little bit more if I put it next to the black here. You see my black curtain and you see the mouth of the cup? You see how it's dark in the cup and dark behind it? Those specular highlights stand out even more now because of that intensified contrast. That's what really makes you build a lot of depth in a painting, is using your specular highlights and your regular highlights correctly, and then building natural darknesses in your painting and putting those darknesses correctly next to the highlights and specular highlights, okay? So the reason I feel like your painting comes off a little bit flat, even though I love the flow of the painting, Lorraine, is you have the only natural built dark highlight that I see is kind of like here and a little bit here, all right? You have just a scattering of brights and darks. And I feel like you could build a lot more. Like you just essentially peppered in darks and then you just essentially peppered in highlights. I feel like a more thought out idea would be better. And what I would do if I was going to paint this, if I had the tenacity to, is I feel like this element isn't too bad. I feel like it's okay. I would probably expand this. Oops, I want red. I would expand this dark section a little bit more. And everything within inside this red element right here that I'm highlighting, I would make dark. And what that's going to do to the eye is it's going to push that element back there deeper. And what it's signifying to us as a viewer is that these elements right here and this element right here is growing over and is in front of everything that I'm going to highlight in green right here. And that built a natural depth. Like that's a cove of trees and branches or something like that that's there. There we'd have a natural darkness next to a highlight, which would build depth. Then since we have our tree trunk here, which I love this idea. I'm going to do this. I'm going to steal your idea, Lorraine. I'm going to have a tree that like cascaded into the water and then build foliage on it. Everything that's behind this tree is technically being blocked. You could add a little bit of highlight because maybe some light. Let's make this harder. No, there we go. Because maybe you had some light sneak behind and hit like through here. But everything behind this tree, this should all be fairly dark. Transition to dark. Because remember, our light source is here. So fade the darkness out this way towards your canvas. You did a little bit, which is great. You have a lot of darkness here, but you could fade it even more. So that way you're creating a very strong vanishing point. You love to submit your art? We do it currently right now, P11 through Twitter and Instagram. You can find all that information down in my show notes below / video description. KR, can anyone submit their art? Yes, you are a beginner. Or sorry, yes, you can. I don't care if you're a beginner. I'm here to help. Just to let you know, we do YouTube members first. They get first crack, and then I kind of go down the chain from there. And thank you for answering the question, Hilo. I appreciate it. Aw, I think that's a subscribe on YouTube. So thank you, I appreciate it, Maria. I gotta fix all these things that I get coming across. So, yeah, we're going back to the highlights and contrast. Your water looks pretty good. If I was going to do this, Lorraine, I would probably spray up your water with a little bit more fine mist, depending on the intensity of this waterfall. You have a good collection here, but it's too much of a collection. It looks like you just tapped it in and let it dry. I would fade it out and across. You have a little bit of mist like right in here, but not too much. I would also put white banding of highlights on your trunk here, because remember our highlights are hitting it, and then I'd have a very dark highlight on this side over here. And I love what you did here. You put a strong foliage highlight because maybe the light is wrapping around this tree over on this side. Could have done a better triangle or arrow. So you got your light highlighting on this side, but then as your cliff goes, I would do the same exact thing. Stronger highlights on this side. Let's do it this way. Small band's gonna represent strong highlight. So strong highlight, then weaker, then weaker, then weaker, then weaker. Okay, that would build a lot more depth within the painting, as long as you wanted this cliff point to stick out. If you didn't want it to stick out, when you got to this line here at the end, you could make a strong one because you could maybe have a cliff that comes down in front of this, pushing this whole element back. Your water lines could be a little more noticeable, if that's a good term, because you have moving water because you have this waterfall here. So your water line, you need to add more water lines because your water is moving in a certain direction at some point. So adding a few water lines in here that is coming up against your river bank or lake bank, and then fading them in would help out a ton. I would probably add a little more darkness on the bottom of your cliff, because remember our light source is fading over and across this way. And then as we work this way, you did a really good job. Let me get away with my face here, because obviously it's not the most handsome thing here. You did a great job here with one huge element. Yeah, this huge thing right here, this bush, tree, foliage, overgrow, whatever you want to call it, should be dark, because our light is having a hard time wrapping around this object and going this way, because our light source is technically cascading in that direction. But you need to add in some parts of highlights in certain areas, because what that represents to us, Lorraine, is this object here isn't going to be a flat 2D image. It's going to be 3-dimensional, because you're showing that light is wrapping around or penetrating certain areas of this. But you still need to fade off in this direction from light to dark. So start putting in some like lights and colors over here and then naturally fade it into a very dark black. And I would say you could probably build even more depth with adding in certain colors like cadmium yellow, medium yellow, not burnt sienna, yellow ochre, mixing a little bit of red in here to make a nice little orange, and cascading through in here, because you're going to have different colors represent different leaf temperatures or color temperatures or lighting textures that go through it. That's going to really build a lot more depth. And then you need to do the same thing on right here. You have this awesome cliff that comes up and across. You should build a little bit of highlight on this side of the cliff, and then as it gets further over down here, it should get darker and darker and darker. Okay? I would probably take, like, it's okay if you want to take this and make these white highlights for your rocks going down, because we could probably safely say this light is coming down and hitting it. But as the light's coming down and wrapping around here, excuse me, I had a little burpee there, you should take this white light, Lorraine, white light, and mix it with a little bit of whatever this rock color is here. Let's just say for the sake of argument, it's burnt sienna. Make a mixture of that color and then apply that color as your highlight. Because what you're saying is this side right here is darker than this side because there's not as much light coming this way. Thus, you're building different layers. And, you know, that would be pretty much all the critiquing I would have for it. I think you did a great job. If this was my painting, I would put in some white lines here. Also, probably put a few more intense white lines there for watermarks, but then fade in these white lines here. I like water when it has a few little ripples and marks in it. You don't have to, but I think it would really, really, really help the painting. Just give it more of a natural flow. But I can say I love the flow of this painting, Lorraine. I think this is a beautiful painting. I really fucking love this tree. This tree is awesome, and I love this godlight coming in, and I think you could sell it just so much more by putting specular highlights on top of certain areas that would really make it go boom and pop. This is awesome. Your tree is copyrighted. Not when it's on my YouTube channel. I'm your teacher. I'm an okay teacher. I can only teach you so far. I can only hold the hand for so long. But I love what you guys are doing here. This is awesome. This is awesome. This is a beautiful one, Lorraine. I really like the flow of this one. I actually wouldn't mind trying to painting something like this. You know who'd actually be a really big fan of this type of painting right here would be Tally Who. He would love to see, or he would love to do this one, because I think he would love the natural flow with all the foliage coming in from different specular highlights to faded highlights to darkness, the tree coming across, the waterfall coming down here, creating movement across the land, and then this just huge element that, this isn't going to be the right term, but I mean it in the way I mean it, that's just so out of place that adds such a stark contrast to the rest. You got this beautiful bright light, and then this dark source right here. And that's just, I love paintings that can create a natural contrast to it, you know? We should do one of these days. I know they used to do this on, I don't know if you guys follow the Reddit thread Happy Trees. There used to be a really cool mod on there. I used to go on there all the time and help people with art, but then some of the mods got a little, I don't want to use the word pretentious, but got a little like not allowing me to help people, and they didn't want me to post videos and stuff like that at the time. That's okay, I get it. But where the hell was I going with my story? Oh, they had once a month, one of the mods there would do a monthly painting challenge, and they would say paint something for Halloween, or paint something winter-esque, or paint something 4th of July-ish, or paint something that's sunset mountainscape or something like that. And you would submit your art under this one thread within that thread, and you could see what other people did. And it was really cool. Maybe one of these days we'll do an art challenge on one of my YouTube channels, and then we'll showcase all the different art and whatnot. Alrighty. Who should we do next? We should do Pat, because I think Pat was waiting from next week. Pat, are you still here in the chat, man? I'd love to do the review if you're still lurking out there, which is completely fine. I just want to make sure that if I give you some tips that you hear some of them and take some notes. I think it'd be fun. Even something simplistic, Kimberly, like just like a sky with, we'll do a sky with one cloud, and we'll see what people come up with. One person might put one wispy cloud. One person might put one big bellowy cloud. One person might put a storm cloud. One person might put a cloud with lightning. Like, it's fun when you do challenges and how you perceive it and how you want to approach it. And you get all these different perspectives, you know? That's what makes art so much fun. I got to do yours too, Kana, but I know Pat was waiting from before, but if Pat doesn't answer in the next, let's just say 30 some seconds, we can do yours because I know you were waiting from before too. I am a gamer. I am a gamer. I don't know if you can see some of my game stuff behind me on this side, but I've got my collection of retro consoles there, the mini retro. So I got my Sega Genesis, the PlayStation 1, the Amazon Luna, which isn't really a retro, but I wanted to try it. The Super Nintendo, and then the OG Nintendo. I got a bunch of, oh geez, and then a bunch of other stuff over to the side they can't really see as much. I need to really reorganize this room and put up some of my sound stuff again, but I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I love playing games. I play games almost every day. You're welcome, Lorraine. Thank you for sharing your art with us. I appreciate it so much. Okay, I haven't seen Pat type in the channel just yet. So, let's do Kana. No big deal for you. You'd love to have new members to have theirs looked at. Well, thank you for being so understanding. If there's something you want to add into it, we can always add it to the list. We'll see how far we get. Dude, I loved all the games. I love all games. I'm a huge nerd. Hailu is right. I'm a huge nerd for art, games, movies, TV, anime, comics. I love cooking. I'm a Renaissance man. I love it all. I love anything that has visual representation. I love anything that has storytelling. I've just been a huge person about that. It's always been a huge part of my life. Alrighty, we're gonna do Kana Shibari. Hopefully I got close to saying that. I'm just gonna call it Kana because that's easier for me. What was your favorite game on Sega Genesis, KR? One of the things I have a strong, vivid memory of is I would go to my next door neighbor. His name was David. He was probably 1 or 2 years older than me. His dad was the VP of Disneyland, so they had a lot of money. And his dad would get him Nintendo games all the time. And then when we got a Sega, he'd start getting the Sega games. So one of the first Sega Genesis games I remember playing, I think it's on the back of that box, was Alter Beast. And it's just so funny because we could never beat the game without codes, obviously, where you could transform. But I always remember, like, when you get the power, it's like, power up. And then you get to, like, the part where you transform, it's like, ah! And it just does the flame around you. Oh, it was so good. Oh, Pat's here? Okay, well, Pat, we're still here, just driving. Oh, okay. Here, let's do Pat's then, since he's listening, so he won't be able to comment as much. So, Pat, drive safely. Drive safely. Don't pay too much attention to this. Just listen to it. You can go back and you can always watch the VOD, all right? Don't want you crashing. I need you to keep paying me money with that strong YouTube membership, so make sure you're safe, bro. And then we'll do Kana after that, okay? Streets, oh man, I want to play the newest Streets of Rage. They came out with like the Streets of Rage remake for 4 or something like, not remake, but like, you know, an added one. That one looks fun, but I would love to go back and play all of them. No joke, I just played the new Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge with my buddy Chris. Fun ass game. The only crappy thing is it's only 2 hours long, which is kind of a shame. But I was telling him, I'm like, dude, you know what I used to play all the time with my neighbor was Streets of Rage 3, whichever one had the kangaroo. I think it was number 3. And I could never beat it. We got to the end, and dude, it just like hurt me. And I was like, dude, we should go back and play all the Streets of Rage and see if we can beat them. I never got into League of Legends. I watch my friends play it every now and then. I just need somebody to play with, because I think I actually would probably like that game. There's just too many legends now that I wouldn't know what they all do. You talked about selling paintings. I'd like to see a video on pricing a painting. I have one that I've been working on for a while. I just got to get all my thoughts collectively put in the right spot. And I think it's going to probably piss off some people the way I like to price my art, but I feel like it's a good introductory. And I think probably what I'll do is I'll do the art in 2 videos. I'll do that type of video in 2 videos. I think I'm going to do how to sell your art as a new painter, because I have my own perception of what I think you should value your art as a new painter. And then how to sell your art. And I don't want to use the word professional painter, but like a more advanced way. I got to think of like a good term that would make people click on that, because there are two different ways to do that. All right, let's take a look at, this is Pat's. Now, Pat is driving, so Pat, pay attention. Just to let you know, we're about an hour and 10 minutes into the stream, so you can come back and look at this. So, Pat repainted a painting that he did from last time. So we don't have to spend too much time on this. I remember a little bit of the before and after, but the before and after is mostly for him on building his skills. But from what I can remember when we did this last week or a week or two ago, we talked about he had struggling with cloud shapes and he had struggling with perspective of his wave that was coming across, okay? Not that you guys remember this, but I do, so it's going to help him. So Pat, we talked a little bit about this on Instagram in like a sentence or two, but your clouds are way, way better. I think you've started to fade them in, even though it's a little bit of a lower res image that came through on Instagram, it's fine. The colors look more natural. You have your highlights coming down. I don't know why I'm on the wrong brush here. Oh, let's duplicate this too. Make our brush smaller. You have your clouds coming down and across, more any fluid motion with your highlights hitting from the right side and then fading down and building more of a natural flow and contrast in the painting. The only critique I would give you, and this is hard as you build, and I teach this kind of the wrong way sometimes too, but it's easier for newer painters to understand this, is when you're building a cloud, Pat, and you're coming up and around, don't just put all of your highlight on top. Clouds aren't like that. Clouds are three-dimensional shapes. So they don't build just from bottom to top. They also build out closer to us or further away. So to build that, you would also add highlights in different spots of the clouds once you've established your light source, obviously. So don't be afraid to go back and add some pockets of highlights in the middle of your clouds to where it would make natural sense and fade those into the body. And that's going to build a shape to your cloud, you know? It's not going to look like a flat image. It's going to look like you turned it a little bit and then built a little bit out, giving it more depth. And that's the one thing I think would really help with these clouds that you generated here. Way better than last time, look way more natural. Now this tip I'm giving you is for the next time you build that cloud to make it even better. That's why I like to teach the basics in little steps, because now Pat's gonna go, oh yeah, that's gonna be cool. I do get it. My clouds look better with all these crowns and highlights, but now if I can add a few of those crowns and highlights in the body, it's gonna build more depth within each cloud that I do from here on out. So great job. I would say probably the way you're stacking clouds isn't probably the most natural, but that just comes with time. I feel like this pair of clouds on the top right and this pair of clouds on the left is good, but then this lonely cloud over here kind of doesn't feel natural. I think learning to fade clouds in to certain degrees would probably help. Learn to sit there and blend in with a 2-inch brush and fade things in and out would help out a ton. It would also build a little more depth. Your horizon line looks good. Your water blending looks a butt ton better, dude. I think if I remember correctly, you had a few more streaks in your first painting in this second attempt here. Look how much, you guys can't see it because it's going to come up pixelated on your guys' side. But you can see, it's a little hard to see, but I can tell it's a little more, it's much more smoother. It looks more glossy, which looks great for a nighttime scene on a black canvas, which works really well with liquid clear. I would say the only thing I would add is, since you are putting in a wave over here, I would probably add in the background with a palette knife a couple of scratches with white on it, which looks like those are rolls of waves coming into our perspective that'll eventually build up into big waves like your foreground element here. And that's something you can easily practice with a palette knife and a roll of paint on top of it. Your wave is way better. First of all, last time, you guys probably don't remember, but Pat's painting looked a little bit more like, oh wait, I should probably do it this way. Pat's painting looked a little bit more like, why is it not delete? Oh, burp. That. Why can I not delete this layer now? There we go. Pat's painting looked a little bit more like that, where his wave was really bottom heavy and hitting the bottom of the canvas, which really wouldn't make much sense for the perspective. You need to cement the wave in some place, which would be putting a little bit of shore break or sand or rocks or something. So one of the tips we gave him was move the element up, which you can see he's done, which now allows him to put in water, shore water here on top of sand, which looks great. It looks a lot better, looks a lot more natural, and I think Pat would probably agree with that. I think your wave still needs a little help. It looks like you built your wave separately and transported it into this painting and plopped it down, almost like a Photoshop element. And the reason I say that is because if we look, Pat, you did a lot better shaping your wave. You took your wave up. That was a shitty first line. You took your wave up and then you came down, okay? But then you took a straight line across here and faded out. And your top of your wave fades down and like that. Waves don't look like that. I'm sorry. Waves have a more fluid, they're made of water, a more fluid flow. Waves curve up, then curve down. And they have like this roll down here. And then they would fade off into the side like that. And then your top line here would fade down and you would have two lines. So if this is a crash, it'd fade down hard and then roll away. That's how a wave would form, because all these elements over here on the right hand side have already crashed and come down. So there's no wave there necessarily, but you have to have a roll to it because there's still motion coming in. Your line just kind of fades down and across. You would need to add more of a splash and a roll. Okay? And the way we can add more of a splash and a roll is you still need to have within this eye here, you need to have an introduction of some color. As water comes over, it reflects, refracts, and bends light, even moonlight, okay? So you need to have a little bit of color in there. Take like a little bit of white, or I'm sorry, not a little bit of yellow mixed with white, or a little bit of phthalo green mixed with white, and add it into the eye of your wave because it's having all this refraction and reflection in there, and then build that out into the side. And that slight little bit of color, hell, you could even use blue. Just use a darker blue and pull it across. Is going to help. The problem we have here, Pat, is if we take this and we desaturate it all, whoops, if we save the setting to desaturate, your wave all looks one consistency. You can see see how this gray right here is the same as this, see how the white highlight is all the same here, and this white eye is the same as the top. It's all very flat. Well, it's not flat necessarily. It's a sketch. You have a sketch. You have a sketch line, and then an inside line and an outside line, and then these fills and this fill. We need to build a natural flow to your wave. Okay? So to build your natural flow, we need to add that color and the contrast here. All right? So you need to build your highlight a little bit here and then fade it out here. You have your highlight everywhere. It's like literally the entire wave. Okay? It looks like a giant football to some degree. You need to add highlight, then fade it off to the side and make the wave darker. And then to make flow, like we said last time, you need to have these little wave striations, which is foam and bubbles and all that stuff, come up into the wave, and it needs to come over and curl over. Take a script liner brush with a little bit of whatever acrylic or water or oil, mix it in or medium, and add these little striation waves in there. And that'll help out a ton. You also need to make sure that when you build your highlight on your wave, that you add it in a motion where it makes sense. Your wave's coming down and across, so your striations of your curve should also follow naturally, and then you should have big foam splash here coming out across. But I think what makes your wave a little flat is you have these straight outlines here, when you shouldn't have fully straight outlines. You should have a crash and then a bunch of white here. Your white is very muted with your blue underneath, which means that when you paint it, you have to clean off your paint brush, then go back, add stark white, titanium white, I mean by that, and then add that foam there, and that's going to add that extra added contrast. And that'd help out a ton. It would really help out a ton. It's just learning that over time. The last thing I would say, take a little bit of Van Dyke Brown, add it in this corner, and then blend it in with your blue. And then when you add in your lines here, Pat, you can pull down with a 2-inch brush, and it's going to cause these streaks to happen in the canvas naturally. And then take your 2-inch brush and then brush back and forth. And now it's going to look like you have natural water and sand right here. Whoops, didn't mean to go that far back. And what you can do then is take your script liner brush with a little bit of white in certain areas and add literally outlines on the water here. And that's going to look like rolls of foam came up being pushed in from the wave. And there you go. You got a perfect painting that you can almost paint again. No joke. You could paint this again. I would say do this on canvas paper. Just practice this, dude. This is a great painting to practice. And it's fun and rewarding because you get to see all these cool natural colors come out, Pat. Wild, should he paint it first with a dark blue and get it lighter? Are you talking about the eye of the wave? The eye of the wave? Generally when I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Generally when whoa, just knocked my coffee right over on me. That would have been a bad day. Guten Tag, Space Jumper. How you doing there? Generally when I paint a wave, waves are difficult for me. So I have to cheat and I have to draw in an outline. So I take a very thinned paint and I'll draw in a line of my top edge, okay? Then I'll draw, this is hard for me to do in Photoshop. I'm not really good. Draw on my top edge and fade it out, okay? Then I'll add, okay, I want my curve to start here, and then I want my fade of my wave to end here. Then I want the crash of my wave to go that way, or maybe not that far up, but I want the crash of my wave to go that, and then up. And that's kind of how I would draw it in. So when I form my wave, I go, okay, I need to form my wave up in here. My eye needs to start here. My crash of wave needs to go here. My foam flick goes here, and then I fade everything out. I have to cheat and I have to do a lot of blocking in for my eye just because it's tough for me to visualize. But I generally start with my outside shape, and then I will figure out where my eye needs to be and how that eye needs to have the correct type of curl on it. Depending on how you form your curl really shapes a wave. But Pat, I think this looks good, dude. I can honestly say, good job. From your first attempt of this painting to this one here, it's better. It is better, and you should be very proud. I think you just need to go a little bit slower and put a little more time into the wave. You're starting to nail clouds. You're starting to nail the natural blending of your colors to represent reflections and waves and everything like that. But you're still struggling a little bit, rightfully so, with a wave because waves are very tough. Waves are very tough. I would say get yourself some canvas pads and practice it so that we don't have to burn through so much canvases themselves. That was a good one, dude. I really like this. Very good. You should be proud. And thank you for submitting while you're driving. I believe that one that we were looking at, baby, was oil paint. But Pat could probably fill you in when he gets a moment. But when he's not driving. Are you doing anything fun for this weekend, Space Jumper? Somebody called me, and I'm sure it's a spam call. See if I can pull up the transcript. Spam call. Well, my Spectrum account gets 50% off. I don't have Spectrum. Painting for number 10, dude, you should be very happy. Very happy. One of my favorite videos I ever made that not really anybody watches, but it's there for the hardcore people, is like what to do with your first paintings. And I literally show all of my first paintings where I attempted my first black canvas, my first flower, my first cabin, my first mountain, my first, fill in the blank. And you can see like how crappy my art is. I love it. I'm proud of it. But it just like everybody who ever shows their art on this channel or sends me pictures on Instagram, you guys are like worlds ahead of where I'm at. Or where I was at when I started. It's insane. Hey, what's up, Guitar? How you doing there, man? How's everything going on with you? I'm glad you guys are all doing good, Lorraine. It makes me super happy. I'm super proud of everybody. Little jealous. Little jealous that it's coming a little more easier to you. But hey, that's fine. I take pride in what you guys do. In my mind, your art is my art. Gonna fix my chair here. All right, let's go on to Kana. So Kana, you are up, my friend. Let's get yours going and a going. I'm looking super excited for this. It's gonna be very cool. We've got, let me move this to be, I think it's big enough for you guys to see here. There we go. That's a good spot for it. We got an awesome little painting here. This one looks like it's off of a Bob Ross tutorial because the flow of this looks a little familiar, but I can't remember which one it is. If you don't mind, Kana, can you please let us know what medium, looks like oil to me, and what number painting this is for you? And if you want to help me out, can you let me know what you think you struggled most with? So maybe that way I can give you a little extra tip or direction, if you will. But we have a beautiful, vibrant, moody, and motioned sky. A lot of motion in this sky up in here. Love the colors that you chose. We get a nice dark Tim Burton-ish feel to it. Got a background, a tree line here in the distance with some light peeking through it. Got some grassy hills, an almighty tree here that's seen better days. What looks to be the element of a broken fence, a cabin, or maybe like a pass-through. That's a big door, like a wooden bridge of some sorts, like a covered bridge. And then we got water reflected of our sky and some water lines, and some type of satanic symbol in the bottom for a signature. Maybe an A, I got a little too aggressive, or an N, perhaps, I'm not sure. Yes, it's oil painting number 10. Awesome. Oh, no, wait, sorry, that was for Pat. I struggle so much with trees and clouds, I can't seem to ever get them right. Trees is okay, I can help you out the clouds at the moment. Trees are tough because the only way to really do trees is practice. It really is one of the best things. This is like painting number 30, been painting for about 4 months. Cool, thank you so much. I make really big letters. Hey, everybody's allowed to have their own way of how they like to sign. So let's take a look at what we can improve upon here for you, Kana. So the very first thing is it looks like you have a lot of mud mixing to some degree going on. Like you got beautiful velvety highlights right here, but in your sky and obviously your tree and even your water, you have some pretty, I don't even know how to say it. Like you have parts that don't match. You have good blending up here. Let me get my brush on. Let me duplicate this. You've got great blending up in here, but then as we work our way to the bottom of your canvas, we have a lot of streaks in the water here. And what that signifies to me as a wet on wet artist, hey, I called myself an artist, yay for me, is you had a good application of liquid white up here, but then as you worked your way down, you didn't add as much, which is what's causing the streaking and the toothing to come through. So first tip I would give is get yourself a bottle of white gesso, then get yourself a bottle of black gesso. Take that white gesso and add 1 dot of black gesso into it to make a very light gray gesso. Cover your entire canvas in gray gesso. Then you're going to be able to see when you apply your liquid white where you are missing spots. Looks like you did a good job up here, and then a poor job down here. That gray gesso is going to allow you to make sure you put an even coat across the entire thing, thus setting you up correctly for painting going forward for that day. All right? That's the very first thing I want you to do. Second thing is I want you to realize what colors you're going to use in your painting for your sky and work from your lightest value to your darkest value. It looks like you kind of didn't realize where you wanted colors to be. I have to safely assume that this is the light source, okay? So your light source would be cascading out in all these directions where it could. Thus, you need to make sure that your light source fades naturally in that order. Now, you can make your landscape whatever you want, but most laws of nature would say, okay, well, we have yellow here. Now we've got to put another color here that's representing the fade of light intensity, and then another color here that represents the fading of light intensity, and then a darker color here because our light source is getting further and further away. And we kind of don't have that here. We have colors in random spots, more or less. So I would say don't try to do a moody sky just yet. Work on the natural fading of color elements and how the gradients flow, and then we can start working on building stark contrast within a painting. When we looked at Lorraine's, she had a beautiful natural transitions from light to dark. And in yours, we don't have a transition at all. We have more of a scatterness, which can work for the vibe and feel that you're going for, stormy effects and all that. But you have so many things in so many different spots that it becomes patchy and messy. So I would say work with something more simplistic. Go from, a yellow to maybe like an orange, and then like a red or a purple, and that will create your natural beautiful effect. And the one painting that Tally did, the last one, the California sunset, that's a good example. You still get a natural transition, but you also get a nice mood set to it because it goes from yellow, orange, red to dark black / purple, and you can see the void, you can see the natural transitions, you can get the mood from it. That now that we've established this, you have to learn to build your land in more of a natural plane. You have too many lines that, let's do this in red. You have too many lines that are curves. Like, this is very like Tim Burton Coraline style. You have all these like very curved motions. While land can be curvy, it helps if you build curves with more of a straight perception. If our eye is coming to here, you need to build your land like this, and then build this plane over here like probably more like that. Then you can build this next plane more like that, and then you can have a fade of a plane come down in here. And now you've built a little more depth. You have just swaying motions in here. And it's difficult to build land because it's hard to have that foresight. But you need to make all of your land feel natural within the painting. You have too many swoopy motions. If you want to build in swoops, build it in a straight line. So you can build this line down, then build another plane down and across. And now look, you have a curve that is built right here, but you built it with 2 straight planes. And that's going to build layer after layer and layer of depth and depth and depth. Okay. Control Z, where you at? There we go. Your trees look pretty good. I'm not gonna say they're bad or anything like that. I think you built your trees that represent well. I feel like you kind of built them in a weird plane that kind of goes not so well. I would probably put your darkest trees over here, then obviously fade them in a way so that way we build more of a perspective. It's fading back with fog, mist, light pollution, everything like that. I think that would help build. You can help build that illusion by putting your strongest white and then flicking it up in this general direction and then using that same brush and then working this way so to naturally fade because you'd be losing that paint. Then let's talk about this plane here. This plane is the exact same color as this plane, which is the exact same color as this plane. These should all be 3 different versions of colors. Bob does use curves, but he builds curves out of straight lines, more or less. It's like different striations of lines that build curves. You just bought a bottle of gray gesso? It'll help you out. Gray gesso is great. I think this guy looks great. I just think he could build it a little bit better, is all. When you're building these highlight planes, I would probably not put a lot of highlight on here. I would build this in with like a darker sap green. And then, I don't know why I'm using green. I'm sorry. It's probably harder to see. Let's just say this is your plane and this is your light source. Since the light is coming over these trees at little bits, you should add in, just in spots, a little bit of highlight. A little bit of highlight in certain spots where light catches. But that it's okay to leave this bottom portion of your plane darker and fade it naturally down. So that way when you put a lighter value for your next plane in front of it, like that, like you did here with your cabin, this plane's going to stand out more naturally and it's going to look good. Then you can start putting more highlight on here because now the light source has more of a chance to hit this plane here. And you did a good job. I actually really like the job of what you did of fading the highlights down and across. It builds more natural light. The light is extending a little further this way, so the highlight should be strongest over here, and then as they fade this way would start to dissipate. I would say until you start getting a little bit better with putting paint on top of paint and layers on top of layers, don't build too many difficult layers for you. Cabins are very tough. Fences can be very tough because you have to build those generally on top of other layers. I would simplify this for you a little bit here, Kana, until you got a little more comfortable. And I would eliminate the fence. I would eliminate the flowers. Or I think I said fence when I meant cabin. And then I would eliminate this fence. So now we can concentrate on not so many advanced things and really nail in a lot of the simplistic things like the tree and building the shape of the land. Hey, what's up, Magical Fairy? How you doing today? When you're building your water here, your water has this like bellow curve to it, which isn't bad, but again, think about your shape and how you build it down. If you built this plane down here and then you built this plane here, we could have some straight jag lines of water that come in across like that would build more of these coves for you that would look more natural and help you out a ton. Okay, now let's get to the big elephant in the room, this tree here. I can easily tell you had a tough time with getting your paint to stick. All right, so if I could make a suggestion, if we know we're gonna put a tree over here for you, Kana, what I would recommend is get yourself some towels. Okay, get yourself some white or blue paper towels, preferably, but white ones will help too. Take that paper towel, and if you know how you're gonna shape your tree, wipe off this entire section that you're gonna have. Once it's wiped off, take a clean, can't stress that enough, a clean 2-inch brush, and just blend back and forth a little bit here the colors. And what that's going to achieve is it's going to allow this background sky, and this background sky to fade a little bit over here. So that way we're covering our background but here in just a moment. Now we have more of an exposed canvas. All right, what that exposed canvas allows us to do is have some teeth that is in the canvas that's going to allow paint to stick into those sections. Then I want you to take a very dark color. Take, I don't know, Van Dyke brown, some sap green, mix that together, some Van Dyke brown, some Prussian blue, mix that together. And I want you to have a little bit of a firmer paint. All right, and I want you to build your tree shape. And I want you to really push it into this section of the canvas here. All right, think like a tree. Go very, very, very slow. Take your time. Think about how you need to shape a tree. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, got my shape here. Now let's put a little more shape here. Tap, tap, tap. Push that in. Take your time. And as you take your time to build your tree in this section here, now we can take a little bit of, like, let's just say cad yellow. Let's just keep one highlight. One highlight. Cad yellow. We're going to mix that cad yellow with just a tiny bit of sap green. I mean, just a little bit, just to knock it down a little bit. And then we're going to add some titanium, or not titanium. We're going to add some liquid white into that, like a 50% ratio. 50% cad yellow in that mixture of a little bit of green, and 50% of titanium, or I'm sorry, liquid white. Mix that all together. Now you've got a very, very creamy paint. I want you to make a good amount of this. I want you to take a clean 1-inch brush. Clean 1-inch brush. Get it through that, then tap down. As you pull your paintbrush away, there should be these little whipped peaks that are left. And that's what you want. Now with the corner of that 1-inch brush, we can go in here and start tapping in. Now you didn't really establish a light source. We kind of said it's right here. But let's just say your light source was up here for a beginner, okay? Your light is cascading this way, it's cascading that way. So our highlights are going to be on our right-hand side of our tree. So start pushing in here and go tap, tap, tap. Okay. Tap, tap, tap. Okay. Tap, tap, tap. Okay. I probably ran out of paint on my brush by now, and it's probably a little contaminated. So take a paper towel, pull all the rest of that paint out that's contaminated, go back to my palette, reload, tap till I get whipped peaks, then go back here. Then I can go tap, 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 tap. Perfect. Nailed it. I'm not going to worry about at the moment for your skills that your brightest highlight should be at the top and then naturally fade down and get weaker. Not going to worry about that right now. What you can do is once you've established your highlights in here, okay, now we can take a clean fan brush or a clean flat or filbert, and on the back side of your highlights that you just established here, you can fade those in naturally. Just tap a little bit behind it, and it's going to pull a little bit of that yellow highlight into those branches and create like more of a shape. And there you've got some awesomeness that is going to stand out a little bit more. I would say probably don't worry about your branches just yet. You're going to still struggle with those. I want you to really form the shape because the eye will assume that it's a tree even without branches. But if you wanted to, you can drop in your branch with a thinner paint and then have it flow with a script liner, and it would help you out a ton. Another thing that would help out with your painting here, Kana, is water lines. Your water lines look like they were put in with a filbert brush or some kind of flat square, which is fine, but adding them in the correct motion would help out a ton. It looks like you have more like of a mud slide effect here. If you're going for like a muddy riverbank, it'd probably benefit you to add that in and then add water around it. Or if this is a water line, scratching it in the correct areas is really going to help you out. Remember, water is a moving object, more or less. So, oh, I just deleted the layer. So what I would probably do is if like, let's say this part of your land is sticking out a little bit more, and this part of your land is sticking out a little bit more, put water lines right in front of it, because your water is probably rushing this way. And that'll help shape those coves and the depths of the shoreline, you know? Because water is going to hit the highest peak or the longest peak sticking out, and then as it goes around the cove, there's nothing of that water rushing there, so it's going to be more still. And that's how you shape a little bit more of your land. The biggest things you need to work on, Pat, that I think is really, really going to help you out is, I would say, no joke, if you have free time this weekend, I don't know why I keep saying Pat, I'm sorry. Kana, if you have free time this weekend, Kana, I would recommend paint this again. But let's simplify it a lot more until we nail a lot of the basics for you, okay? I would love for you to do a very basic sky. Basic sky. Work on the transitions and the gradients of colors, okay? Pick whatever colors you want, but pick like 2 to 3 colors that would have a beautiful transition. You want to do baby pink to light blue? Go for it. You want to do yellow to red? Beautiful. That would make a beautiful orange in between. You want to make, I don't know, a white to purple? Go for it. Simplistic sky. Then I want you to move your tree line up a little bit more up here, but think about how you're going to fade the tree line down and across over here. Remember to keep your strongest concentration of black here and work it out this way. Then bring your plane in a straight line and have it come down and across in a more of a straight line, let's just say. Remember to leave a little bit of highlight on top, but it's okay to have blacks and darks. That's what's going to shape your land. Then bring your next plane and bring it down and across where you can have more highlight on it in the appropriate spots where your sun is kissing certain spots, okay? Then we're not going to do the fence. No fence, no cabin. Figure out how to highlight your land in the way that would make sense into your riverbanks. You did a pretty good job with that. Then we can add an almighty tree that sticks up, and you can work on the highlights and fading like we said. Then we can add in our water, which we can pull down with a 2-inch brush to help shape it, and add in the water lines. And I think you'll have something that will stand out and be a lot better. I would love to see a before and after of how you paint this thing twice or 2 times. When I can, I'm going to try to paint this again with all these tips. Honestly, I'm really excited. And you should be. I think you have something great here. It's just the biggest problem is, Kana, is we all try to do too much too fast. You got to learn to walk before you can run. You got to learn to crawl before you can walk. And sometimes we get all a little excited. We get our Bob Ross kit, we get our paints, we watch a tutorial, and we're going to go, fuck yeah, dude, I'm going to paint something cool. And then you're like, oh, it didn't come out the way I wanted. And what you need to do is do something simple. I love simple paintings. A simple sky, a simple tree line, 2 simple grassy hills, 1 tree, 1 riverbank, a couple of little striations or scratches for your water line. Blend it all in. You got a beautiful painting. And the cool part is when you simplify a painting, you're actually opening up more time to work on certain elements. You probably spent a butt ton of time making a cabin. You probably spent a lot of time making your fence posts stand out and stick. Probably spent a lot of time putting multiple colors and highlights on your tree. Take out those multiples, simplify it, and expand on that simplification by spending more time on it. Okay? And that will really, really pay off for you, Kana. I am actually really excited, if you have time to paint this weekend, what you will do. And if you do paint it, please send it to me on Instagram or Twitter, because I would love to see the second result, or second painting that you did, which would be a result. I don't know why I stuttered. I got distracted because my Instabam went off again. This is great. I like this. I like your colors, and I would love, you know what I would love to see, Pat? Or I don't know, Pat, I love you so much I keep saying your name, dude. What I would love to see, Kana. Okay, no joke, no joke. I want you to keep this painting, the painting we were just looking at. This is a great idea. This is a great idea. I want you to keep this painting. Then this weekend or whenever you get a chance, I want you to paint this same exact painting in a simple way. I want you to keep on that in a simple way, because you're going to learn so much. Then let's just say a month from now. A month from now, I want you to forget about these 2 paintings, but I want you to hold on to these 2 paintings. I want you to come back a month from now. Hopefully you've painted a couple pictures in between, a couple paintings in between, I want you to paint this same exact painting, no shit, for a third time. But I want you to paint it in the way that you did the first one. I want you to put in the motions in your sky. I want you to put in the colors. I want you to put in the tree line. I want you to put in one of the two, either a cabin or a fence post. My personal would be a fence post because I think you'll have more fun with that. I don't think it'll ruin the painting. But add in a little bit more of the advanced elements. Add in the multiple colored highlights. Add in the tree branches. But I think you'll be surprised of how much you grow within that time frame there. And doing a painting 3 times is really going to help you because you're going to go, okay, I suck at this. I'm going to spend more time on this. I nailed this, so I know how to do it because I've done it 3 times now. And it's really, really going to help you grow. I think I still have Pat from the wave ones because it's on Instagram. It saved the pictures before. And I remember because it was only like a week or 2 ago. I got a pretty good memory for certain things. But do that. No joke, Kana. I think you'll be surprised. You're like, oh shit. Painting number 1 doesn't look as good as painting number 2 because it's simplified. And you're going to go, painting number 3 isn't still perfect. It's better than painting number 1 for sure. It's not maybe better than painting number 2 because painting number 2 is so simple because I spend a lot more time. But oh man, I can really see the improvements in painting number 3 with the advanced techniques that I tried to do. Not better than number 2, but I can't wait to do painting number 4 because I really see, like, I got these 3 highlights to stick. I got this one fence post to really work for me. I'm excited now, and that's going to help you really learn and grow. Okie dokie Finoki. Who we got next? Do we have any other YouTube channel members that want me to review their art before I move on to someone else that is not a YouTube channel member? If you're interested in becoming a YouTube channel member, I would be very grateful. For the low cost of $1, you can become a YouTube channel member, and I get to go back into being a sellout artist, which I've always wanted to do. Actually, pretentious artist first, sellout artist second. Pretentious artist, we just learned, is the true awesomeness. Almost done with my coffee, too. I don't know what I'm going to have for breakfast. I had a bowl of cereal. I didn't feel like making anything. You're welcome, Kana. I can't wait to see what you make next, dude. It's going to be awesome. Hey, what's up, Legendary? How you doing today, buddy? Ryan, we got you. I got yours right here. Yours is, if I remember correctly, I grabbed the right one. The winter scene, if I remember correctly. Your paintings are just fantastic, dude. I love them. I love them. Excuse me. I'm really excited to see what Kana paints in the next month here. Alrighty, let me adjust my suit. I gotta wash my pad here soon. I got like a little extra squishy pad so my little bony butt don't hurt. Alright, well, if nobody else is out there, we can do yours for sure. Legendary Gamer, how's everything going on with you today, dude? Hopefully you're doing well. Alright, Ryan, let me grab yours and pull it up here for you, dude. Alrighty, let me just move my chat into a position where I can see it at. Get this going here. Duplicate your layer before I pull it on. I'm loving these trees here that you did, dude. These are so cool. Oh, excuse me. Alright, let's move over to Ryan Owens. I gotta remember to post your guys' art that you submit to me on Instagram so people can see it. You guys make such cool stuff. It's awesome. Ryan, if you don't mind letting us know, what number painting do you think this is? What medium did you work in? And for my sake, what do you think? Let's give you a little bit of a curveball here. Let's ask for 2. What do you think you did really well in the painting, and what do you think you struggled with most in the painting? Okay? That'll give us all something to look at and concentrate on. You remember me from somewhere like your house when you sleep? It doesn't make much sense, but cool. I appreciate it. I appreciate any viewership that watches me while I sleep. I like the lurks. A really good idea. I think it's a good idea. I have nothing but good ideas, Pat. I've never once had a bad idea, except one time in college. We won't go into it. Won't go into it. Let's just say Jaeger, coffee, and Fun Dip don't mix. Yeah. Actually, that'd be a horrible idea. That sounds like a recipe for throw up and diarrhea all in one. All right, well, Pat's, or not Pat, god dang. I'm on my Pat excursions today. Oh, Kimberly, thank you for the super chat of 1999. Your love means the world to me, girl. Plus, it's going to go right into the wireless microphone that I'm trying to work my way up to. Not sure which one I'm going to go with yet. It's either the Rode mic or it's the Deity? I was not sure how to say their name. Thank you, Kimberly, for that awesome super chat of 1999. Your love means the world to me. And you're welcome for getting all of the tips. But just the tip. You get a little bit more than a tip. You get a tip and a half, my dear. All right, Ryan says, this was actually before the painting I submitted last week. Ryan submitted one from a video that was fantastic, by the way. I dream about that painting. So this painting is like somewhere between 17 and 20 attempts. I fucked up on the drop off of the cliff in the lift and could color match. I'm gonna say maybe and couldn't color match. Maybe is what he probably read. I'm really happy with the post shadows. Okay. There is a lift. Maybe he meant lifting the color. I fucked up on the drop off of the cliff in the lift. Oh, maybe left. I'm sorry, on the left over here. Okay. I think he means over here. Okay. I think he means left. Yeah, left. Okay, cool. So I was like, is there supposed to be a ski lift over here? I'm like, I'm not seeing it. I was like, my eyes can't see it. Kimberly, wait, you know what we need to do since you gave me that big super chat? Hey, Kim. Thank you. You're awesome. What are you doing this weekend? We painting anything cool? You know, I had a cool idea. Sorry not to distract from you, Ryan, but I had two ideas. I want to run two ideas from you guys. Yeah, we all get fat. You were excited to type. I want to run two ideas for videos by you. Let me know if this sounds like a good idea. Everything is becoming more expensive, obviously due to inflation, and times are a little tougher. I wanted to make a video on like cheap paints. Like I wanted to do one on cheap acrylic paint and cheap oil paint and how you could paint with that. Does that sound like something that's fun? I also wanted to maybe take that idea and show you cheap supplies to hold you out until times get better or you make a little bit more money. Does that sound interesting to you? Also, it's summer here, at least in the United States. I don't know what side of the hemisphere you're on, but I like to do gardening. Yes, that's right. Real men garden. Get off my back, okay? I like to grow herbs for when I cook. That's right. Real men cook too. I'm a catch, ladies, and still single. Come get some for all of everybody out there that's watching this in the VODs. But I was thinking of building a little small above gardening box. Maybe something that's like 3 feet by 1 foot, and it's going to be rectangular and set up maybe about a foot. But I was thinking of building a box and then painting it, because I think that'd be a fun little like summer project for people out there. I don't think people would watch it, but just from a creative standpoint of people out there that like stuff, would you be interested in any of those ideas? Let me know in the chats, please, or comments. I would love to hear your opinion. Cheap Good Acrylic is the Blinkery paint set. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to look that name up. I'm not familiar with the Blinkery, Blink Acrylic, Blinkeric. Not sure how you would say it. Apple Barrel is generally the one that I see that's like the cheapest. Usually like it's $1 a little tube. You think that's a good one, Lass? Okay, good. I'm glad. You do crafts? I like to do crafts all the time. I don't know why. I've always loved creative things. Cooking is a strong passion of mine. Very strong passion. Alrighty, let's get to Ryan Owens's. I'm super excited about this one. All right, for Ryan's, we've got I would consider a soft winter scene. We have different colors of white that transition from softer blues to a little bit darker grays to a little bit soft pink or purples in there. It's a little hard to tell from the picture if it's a pink or a purple, but we got good transitions of colors that go on in here that speak to me. And I love the soft, subtle colors that come to more refined, defined as they come closer to us. So great job. You've been playing around with acrylics, wanting to do a little bit of landscape around my art studio. Oh, nice. Um, I'm assuming landscaping as in like outdoor actual landscaping, not painting landscaping. Um, I did a lot of weed pulling last weekend, probably do a little bit this weekend. I got to plant a mint plant and I got to plant a thyme plant. I am sure it will be eaten within 1 month. So, you know. I like Gamblin 1982. It's not usually the cheapest, but it's a good one. Gamblin is a very good paint. I like to experiment with a lot of different paints too. Still a good fan of my Winsor Newton for certain things. Probably because I'm biased because I still own a lot of it because it was on sale. I'm biased. Don't. The minute I get a sponsor, though, watch me flip, dude. I will be like, oh, yeah, you know what the best paint is golden paint. You know, I only paint with golden paint. And then, like, a year later, I'll get a new one. Oh, you know what the best paint is? Oh, it's definitely Joe Bob's Big Oil Emporium. Definitely that. I have no alliances. My only alliance is my paycheck. It's cheaper than Apple Barrel? Oh, you'll have to send it to me. If you don't mind, send me an like an Instagram or Twitter message on that name because I will forget about it, baby. The cheapest I've ever found is literally Apple Barrel at like Dollar Tree, Big Lots, and shit, I'm thinking of I can't think of another big box store that has it. I've seen it for under $1. But if you find something cheaper than that, yeah, I'd love to know it. Okay, sorry, I keep putting Ryan Owens on the edge. All right, Ryan, when I look at your painting here, first of all, it's fantastic. It is fantastic. You truly have a talent here that I think is above and beyond. Oh, let me get my face out of the way here so people can see parts of it. So it's very hard to critique very good art because I don't see very many mistakes here at all. I don't. So the only thing I can give from one artist to another artist is just giving a little bit of maybe like feedback and perspective that may help elevate the art a little bit. And maybe I'll see something that you didn't that you'll be like, oh, that would be really cool to include that or change that. Baby says you'd love to see me do a video on how to set up a landscape, like how to map it out. That's a tough video. That's a tough video because I still struggle with that. And the honest answer is when I really need to paint something that's impressive, I use reference photos, like elements from reference photos. Most people do that, but maybe I could show you how I do it. That might help you out. But yeah. Kimberly used to be a freestanding office. Now it's a studio. Has weeds and dirts around it. I want to clean it up. Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. Making your environment your own helps you paint better. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. All right, let's take a look what we have here, Ryan. Awesome name, by the way. I would say, let's see. I love the flow of the naturalness that you have in the painting. I love the softness of it. However, I think the only thing that I'm gonna look at this in grayscale real quick. Didn't mean to do that. I would say the painting's a little flat. Just a tiny bit flat. Oops, I keep hitting invert. I don't mean to hit invert. I would say we probably could liven it up. Not necessarily by adding color, but maybe a particular part of contrast in the corresponding spots that would make some of the softer spots stand out or some of the highlights stand out a little bit more. I know it's a soft painting, but I still believe there should be black, darker spots in some areas of it. And I think you could actually do some really cool things. The one thing I really appreciate is the illusion of depth that you built in your painting. Let me get on my paintbrush here. Let me go to a smaller brush here. I love the illusion that you have in the backgrounds here with the different subtleness of colors that could get off to the perception of depth of trees or land or hills in the background there. And then you build an awesome layer. It's hard for you guys to see of a tree line here and a tree line here. Obviously you can see the ones here, but the depth you build is very, very good, or well done, I should say. One of the things I think you could probably do a little bit better is have this is going to be hard to say, is the natural fade of your haze that comes across between this blue tree and this black plane. I think if you faded it up in different randomized spots, it would add to the depth that would push it a little further back. This feels like it's a lot closer than it should, considering that this plane is in front of here. I think if you could fade this with a little bit more mist in front of it, would help a lot with the plane. Also, I'm not sure if this is one plane that's connected together, but these colors seem different. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be behind this. It's a little tough to notice or see, but it's a small thing. But I think having the mist, like you have really, really strong mist here, but then you don't have it over here. And I think having that diffusion plane would help separate and then push that back even more, making this sight line pay off even more. Okay. God, this is a great painting. It's hard to criticize and give some feedback on a lot of it. There's things I like in it, but it would be my own personal opinion. And I don't know if you want to hear that or not, because I don't know if that's important to you. But like, for example, I really don't like this color here. I don't feel like it pays off for anything. I feel like it dilutes the foreground image because you build it right here. I feel like there should be some dark spots that add on top of it that you could put a little cascading of highlight that I feel like it would build a little more depth and structure into the painting. I feel like this is really flat, which then in turn makes this feel like it's flat by comparison when it's really not. You spend a lot of time and effort building all, I forget what we call these trees that have like really straight lines that have dead branches that snow sits on it. I feel like since you used really flatness here, it makes this flat in turn, even though it's not. And I really don't know, other than contrast, what would make these stand out. Maybe a different color, maybe a little bit of nuanced colors in it. But that would be about it. Let's see here. As we get closer to the foreground here, please go ahead. Okay, then I will. Thank you. You need to have darker pit down here. Our land, I'm going to draw it up here, is fading down and across like that, like you have a road ridge, like a safety shoulder to some degree. So since there would be not as much light cascading down in here, you'd want to have a lot more darker down here, okay? And what I mean by that is here's your road ridge. Everything that fades down into here should be way darker. You should make this, even though this is a soft image, or a soft environment, like maybe there's low-hanging fog or diffusion or clouds, you would still have contrast down in here. I think that's what's bothering me a little bit, Ryan, is there should be a lot more contrast in this image that's being pulled into here, which would make the rest of everything be pulled out. So I would say having this side be your darker side would help out a ton. So if we took levels here, I don't know if this would really work out. If we took this and we blew it out a little bit, but then we took our blacks and made them darker like that, I think that would help out a little bit more. So now, you see how much darker this is? I think that would help out a ton. Now, your fence post wouldn't be that dark. So let's just say if we took a brush, there we go. We took a brush and erased these, because they're more of a foreground element. Here we go. You get the idea. You know, I'm just drawing it in ever so slightly. Just like that. You see, like, already naturally, like, look how much better that looks. Now, obviously, you would, oops, sorry, where's my opacity? Naturally, you would fade these trees to match the light as it's cascading across into there. But already, I feel like this added 40%, fuck that, 47% more of a compelling image, because we're this is why it matters to me. I'm already getting excited about this. We're coming out of something. Like, I'm driving a car, or I'm on a walk, or I'm lost in the woods, and I'm coming out of something. I'm coming out of darkness, and I'm being exposed to this beautiful natural environment that you built. So I can safely say in my mind, there's darkness behind me, and now that I'm going forward, whoops, am I on red? No, I'm on green. Now that I'm coming forward in this direction as I'm walking, I'm getting this element that I'm coming out of. And I think that looks a lot better. And I would probably add a little bit of that darkness down in here too. Sorry, these are on different planes now, or different layers. I would add a little bit of that down here too. I would probably add a little more darkness in my snow, because remember, my light has to come around this awesome hill that you made right here. So there's going to be less light dark. I think that's what I'm missing here. So for example, if I took a burn tool, burn, and let's open this up a little bit here. If I was to burn this down like that, that's probably a little too strong, sorry. Bring the exposure down. If I was to burn this down a little bit like that, it would help out, again, build some shape. And then I would build probably a little bit more burn into here. By burn, I mean like darker tones. Oh, fuck. You know what I'm going to do? Hold on, Ryan. We're going to duplicate this layer. This is going to be more ingenious because now I can actually give you a before and after. So let's just say that. Let's just say here. Let's add a little more darkness in here. I'm going to over-exaggerate this just so we can make a visual point here, Ryan. Add a little more shadow up in here. A little here under this rock. Way more down in here because we're getting further away from our light source. We can still have some here. I'm just putting in where I think it would accentuate, okay? There we go. Look at how we're shaping this, dude. Maybe even some in here, in these roads, more in the shadow, stronger in the shadow, down across. Let's blow this up. Let's add that, add a little vignette down in here, okay? So I'm gonna move my ugly face out of the way so you can see. So here's a building a little bit more of the shadow side. Hey, what's up, Zoid? How you doing there today, man? Sorry it took me a while to say hello to you. All right, so here's what we added in with our shading, Ryan, and our little bit more of our contrast of our layers. So now we've created a focal point. I don't know if you can see my brush over here. Now we've created more of a focal point because your eye is going up this trail. And then if we take it away, you can see how it makes it a little more flat overall. With it on, with it off. With it on, with it off. Now, you wouldn't be adding necessarily black because obviously that's dulling your image, but you can see how much more contrast is added in here that really, really gives your mountain, hillside here, whatever you want to call it, snowscape, a little more shape. And it's just a little more added contrast. And I think that would help yours out a lot. But it's subtle. It's subtle, but it really, really pays off. I think it looks good. But again, just an opinion. Just an opinion. Your trees are fucking fantastic, dude. No criticisms. None whatsoever. I think they look great. They look beautiful. Your rocks, use a little bit of help. I think you got to remember when you build in a rock. What am I on now? Messed up all my brushes. When you build rocks, put shadows underneath them. This one you did really good. This one over here on the left-hand side, my face is blocking it. This one on the left-hand side is really, really good. You put a beautiful shadow underneath it. Oh, sorry. Oh, there we go. On the wrong tool. Remember to put little shadows underneath them. Same here. For a cheat little way on your rocks, dude, just, let's get this to like a 2. Put like little lines in your rocks. That'll make it look like it has cracks. Don't be afraid to give little highlights. And since that was too big of a brush. There we go. Since this grass is in the foreground and this grass is in the foreground over here, make it bolder and stronger. You can almost wait till your painting is tacked up. Take a very fluid color of whatever you want for your grass and flick up, 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 flick up. And that'll be bolder because remember, this is closer to us. And I think I would even, if I came back and I was going to do this painting, I would let it tacky up for 2 or 3 days. And I would take that same brush and I would probably flick up a little bit more in front of these posts. So it just looks like these posts have overgrown, or the grass is overgrown where these posts are. It'd be great. The one thing I can safely say about this painting, Ryan, that you did a fantastic job on is the perspective of these fence posts. I get that this is fading over and across. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. And you went above and beyond and you added the fence posts in pretty much the corresponding tier shape as you go down and across. That looks beautiful. I think the only weak part of your cliff, I'm not really sure what this is. I feel like you probably wanted to put in at some point like a drop down that went in here. I'm not really sure what it is. a mound. I think this is the part you said that you sucked with. What probably could be cool is if this was a cut of straight rock and snow grew over it and then just fell like down in. You could do a little mound like that. Or I would say maybe just take this and just fade it down and in into the snow and just have it like meet up with the road just like that so it looks more natural. I think maybe you were confused here, but I think that was the part that you had. You fucked up. I couldn't put it in right. It's fine. Fine. I would say if you fucked up, just fade it in. Just fade it in to this little roadside. And I think that would be perfect, dude. This is a great painting. You did a great job. I think just contrast would help pay it off. To me, it feels flat, but it's tough to criticize a flat image when something is a soft environment. Because to create softness, you need diffusion of light. Diffusion of light has the ability to wrap around objects and caress it and fold into those gaps where it would eliminate the contrast. But I think your job as a painter is to still add those little bits of contrast to make the painting pop. Because the hardest thing as an artist, and I struggle with this all the time, every day, to where it makes me want to drop kick my paintings, is if you can't create depth on your image, your painting, which essentially is always a 2D image, isn't going to look 3D. And it's your job to make it look 3D because it needs to look like it has depth when you're building landscapes, at least. Abstract art and all that doesn't apply. You need to build depth, and to do that, contrast is one of the best ways. And that's going to really, really help. I think the trees look good. I like the trees. Like, I get, like, when you look at this from far away, I get the feels and I get the vibes. You know, I really, really do. I get like a cool landscape. Like, I feel like I've been in this environment. I feel like I would love to walk in this environment, you know? I want to go down this path and see where it goes. I submitted one last week, was basically rock practice after failing at them. Nothing wrong with it, dude. Rocks are tough. Rocks are very tough. The cool thing I like about rocks is you can put texture on them, and it makes it feel like it has cracks and crevices and these little jags and pits to them. I really love putting them in with a palette knife at times. This is very, very good. Did a fantastical job, dude. Super happy with your art and painting. It is very, very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. How many hours do you think you put on that painting, Ryan, if you don't mind us asking? I think that would be beneficial to people because that was a very, very well done painting. Oh, my Lord. I'm getting hungry. All right, I think I can do another one or two. Let's see what we can fit in here. Do we have one more? I don't know who we have in chat who needs one, or was still here that would like to have one. But we could probably fit one more in really quick if we have the opportunity to. If anybody's out there that's interested in Streamland. You'd say 14 hours over 3 days, and it shows. It shows. That's what I always want to make sure that people do, is they take time in their painting. Don't feel like you have to be like Bob Ross, and rush yourself within, you know, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, things like that. Okay, yeah. Where did you send yours? It's probably Instagram, right? Does have a new message? It was probably an Instagram message, right? KR, or was it Twitter? I forget where you sent yours at. Was it Twitter? Let me open up my Twitter. Oh, it was Twitter. Which one would you like me to do, KR? I see there's a top one. Oh wait, one's from June 4th. Oh, there. Okay, I see. One was sent today, 9/17. Let me grab that one. This is beautiful. All right, let-me. Where'd your painting go? There we go. Grabbed it. Give me 1 second. I just like to label these. KR. There we go. Bum 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 bum. Load this up here. You want to be like Bob Ross. Bob Ross, he's the great Canadian painter. He sings in the line. In the line like this. Alrighty. KR, let's pull yours up here, dude. There we go. Living in the light like this. Love Rush. Oh, so good. I just nailed it. All right, let's take a look. This might be our last one. We'll see if anybody comes in here and pops in at the last moment. Maybe fit one in. I'm still feeling pretty good, but I'm starting to get a little hungry. And I got to work on a painting too today. Or not a painting. I'm sorry. Got to work on gardening and working on a video today. Then I get to have fun. This is like your 29th one. 24 by 36. Took about 5 to 5.5 hours. Cool. And this is beautiful, dude. This is stunning. Let's get my face out of here. Let's duplicate this layer. Zoom in here really quick for everybody. We have a beautiful soft sky transitioning from our yellows to our baby pinks and reds. That fades down into our mountains. That gives us that nice appeal. 2 strong almighty mountains, background trees, and or 2 distant tree lines. A little bit of water. This looks like it's off one of the tutorials. I can't remember which one it is. Then you got beautiful trees, some foliage. Love the different layers of bushes and plants that we got going down there. We got awesome trees kicking over here with a little bit of our foreground hillside. Your beautiful plant. And then the coolest part of all is our nice little idea that we have of putting our paper towels down here, which is used all the time. And look, we taped off our awesome feet so they don't rattle. I wonder where you got that idea from. This is very, very good. Very, very good, dude. I'm very proud. I love seeing what you do, KR. Kimberly asks, can you work on a wet and wet painting over the course of several days? Does it tacky up too much? And does it get wet on wet effect? So you can re-wet your canvas, Kimberly. You can re-wet your canvas. What I like to do, I'm going to use KR's painting here, for example. So if I was painting this, let me get on my colors here. I would do like the sky and my mountains, let's say. And then I would do like my tree line here and then my tree line here. And let's just say I had to go. I had a hot date with my mom. I got something I got to cook. I got to go to work. You know, my painting allotted time is up for the day. But I haven't had time to do, you know, this element over here. I haven't had time to do my water. I haven't had time to do my foreground element. I haven't had time to do my trees. That's fine. You can let it tacky up. You can paint on top of certain elements. The whole point I'm trying to say is figure out how much time you have and stop at certain elements that are easy to continue from. So perhaps you stop at your mountains, so that way it's easy to continue your tree line and everything else for the next day. Or maybe you stopped at your tree line, so it's easy to continue doing your water or your midground and foreground elements. Or maybe you stop at doing your foreground elements, but then you continue for what's going to be your tree next. It's all about having that foresight of knowing what's easy to continue from. You know what's not easy continuing from is working halfway through your tree line and be like, oh, I'll just pick up and do the rest of this portion, you know, a week from now. Then it's not going to be as easy or right for you. Okay? Yeah, this is a great painting. This is very, very good. This one was drier than normal for me. I had to really work hard to blend out the water reflection. I can actually see it. My face is blocking it, but down here in the corner, you can see that it's drier down here in this section. And then it gets way smoother over here. But it's fine. Nothing wrong with a bare tooth canvas at times. Alrighty, let's take a look at what we got here. Alrighty. So first of all, I love the color transitions, and he did a great job. KR knew his horizon line was right around here. So when he was taking his pinks, he brought it all the way down here, but left enough to leave a white line, which is something that I like to teach because look how it created this beautiful natural gradient of diffusion between the separation of the tree lines and the mountains, but the beautiful pink still transitions onto the base of our mountain and even onto the base of this mountain here, which gives it character and depth. So beautiful job. Love the smoothness, and I love your clouds that you put in here, KR. Great job. We got 2 KRs in here, so stick with me. You're gonna hear your name a lot. Excuse me. Sorry if the cough in the microphone was loud. I apologize. So for your mountains here, you did a great job, dude. You did a great job. The only thing I could critique on is not too much. It looks like you're still having a little bit of struggle with paint breaks, but this could have just been by artistic choice, was having your snow be thicker on your highlight side as it comes across. It seems like you struggle just a tiny bit with mountain shape as in the inner shape of the structure. Because you have a lot of straight lines here, and then it's like it jags up, straight line, straight line, straight line down. And then you have a straight line and a straight line. You have a straight line, comes up and jags, straight line, and this is tough. I would say having a little bit of a looser hand here, KR, would probably really help you out. I would say experiment, because you can easily scratch this off. I'm just going to use this mountain here as an example and scoot it over so you guys can see it as well. When you're making your line here, I would say don't be afraid to have a little bit of a shaky hand as you come down and across as you scoop this thing down in. Now, you did have some issues with paint breaks. It's okay. I would say adding a little bit of motion in your scratch would really, really help out. You see you have these straight lines, which to the common eye wouldn't really ruin your painting or distract from it. But if you're able to add a little more naturalness into it, it would really help your painting out a lot. So what you probably would want to do is work off all this undercoat of color to expose more of that toothing. And then for me, personally, I had a lot easier time working from a bigger roll of paint when I was applying it with my palette knife and holding my hand up at a more approachable angle. So I'm exposing like almost like not a 90 degree, but like an 80 degree, and then coming down. And as I work, then I would start to drop my elbow and expose my wrist a little bit more. And that would expose more of the blade, allowing it to come down and paint break as it would come. And then as I got to the canvas here, it would start to scratch out a long time. And that helped me create a lot. But having a shaky hand actually can help you out a tiny bit. Again, having that drier paint really, really helps. So I would say take the opposite end of your knife, the pointy end. I'm just like a little pen here, and start scratching in a cheat line of where you want your highlights to go. So that way you come down and across, be like, okay, that's going to fade that way. And then come down and across, and then down and across, and add those cheat lines in there. So that way you can know how to build your mountain in your range. It's going to really help out. Where'd my Z go? There we go. But other than that, I think it looks very, very good. Now, your light source is technically rightish to here-ish. Your sun's setting and it's cascading the light up and across. So if your light is coming down and through this way, I'm going to clean up this here real quick so I can make my point. Sun, your sun is wrapping to this side, okay? So you use the same highlight for here and here, which is okay. But what you would really want to do is you can use this light colored blue here. Then on here, you'd want to use a little bit of a darker blue. And on here, you'd want to use that same darker blue, because this mountain is having a harder time getting this light because the light's cascading across it. Or you could flip it depending on how you want these mountains to be pushed in front of the other. Why does Bob Ross have a straight line in mountains? Every time I see them, all of them have straight lines. His don't always have straight lines. You have to remember, though, there's a difference between Bob Ross painting it in 24 minutes and 27 seconds than what you would do in hours or days. So when you have time to make mountains, don't make them all straight lines. Bob has to paint in a time frame for telecasting to broadcast, okay? So the easiest motion is just to go like this and across. But if you see him paint certain mountains like the Grandeur of Summer, is that Grandeur of Summer? You'll see they're not as straight. You'll see there's jags and moves and all of them, okay? When you have to paint in a time limit, you got to go quick and you got to go fast. You don't have time to spend as much on it. If you look at some of the paintings where he has mostly mountains, you'll see that he spends a lot more time on them. I'm trying to think one. There's one that's called like Glacial something, the Royal Majestic, or Royal Majesty, I think it is. There's a lot more bumps and cracks in them. And that's the ones you want to pay attention to. He's your teacher. And hey, nothing wrong with starting with straight lines. As you get more confident, start adding a little more scratches. I used to do straight lines all the time. And then when I took a painting lesson from Nick Hankins, who's a certified Bob Ross instructor, he taught me this. He was like, hey, dude, he's like, you're making it too hard for yourself. He's like, flip over your knife, carve in where you want to put in your highlights. And then he's like, then start filling it in. And he's like, you're thinking too hard. He's like, when you do that, now you've naturally just built in shadows and planes of where you can build everything. And it helped out so much more. And I was like, dude, that makes way more sense. And he's like, yeah, I know. I was like, cool, man. Thank you. I'm stealing that. And he was like, go for it. That's why I'm able to add in a little bit of things, because I cheat. I draw on that visual viewpoint. Yeah, Nick is dope, dude. I love Nick. He used to have more of a YouTube tutorial channel on his own private thing, but then he kind of like took it down and stopped using it. But he's busy teaching classes now, rightfully so. Your distant tree line, fan-freaking-tastic. May I just say, KR, great job of making some highs, some lows. I would say maybe the only thing you could probably do is make some spaced, perhaps, but you don't really have to as much because this is distant, so they could be clustered. Love how you left white gaps in here, signifying that there's holes in certain parts. Love how you mystified your trees out. Love how you built your planes coming down and across. As you do, love how you put darker spots in front of lighter spots, making it feel like there's multiple lanes in here. And great job leaving distance in there. Good job reflecting down. The only thing I would probably say is when you create reflections, keep your reflections the same height as your water, same height as what they're referencing. So this should be longer, this should be longer, this should be bolder, this should be longer, and this should be longer. So you could accentuate those a little bit more. If you lost all your color in here, just dab a little black, 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 and just pull those down. Pull those down with your brush like that, and then you can fade them out and across. And it would just add the natural reflection of your high points and your low points in the water. Great job with your water. I feel like if you're gonna add a little bit of water lines back here, you could probably add 1 or 2 more and just fade them in with a 1-inch or a 2-inch brush. That way it looks like there's a little bit of water movement. Can't have water lines without some movement. You could too, if you wanted to, advanced technique at some point, add your mountain reflection. You don't have to. I actually prefer what you did and have the calm stillness of water of just the reflection of sky. But you could put a reflection of the mountain, or maybe this mountain's so far back it hits the body of water that's hitting back here, you know? Let's move on to the side. You have, whoops, that was whoa close. Let me get that to where you can see it. I got so excited to reflect on page. It's tough. It's tough. You get lost in your own world. These trees are fantastic. You have your highlights on the correct side. May I say bravo of not putting so many highlights on this tree, because this tree over here is blocking going across. I love the cuts up in single brush strokes, if there are single brush strokes of what you did, or the scratches with the palette knife. I love the clustering of different leaves and flowers and bushes and everything like that. You left enough dark to make it look like there's contrasting parts in here. Love the reflections that you put in the water. Again, I would say make sure that you mimic your highlights of what you have here. You have just red here, but this red goes all the way across. Same thing with all these spots, just mimicking it in the right spot. What I usually do, and it's not the right way or wrong way, I'll generally, oh, I'm sorry, you couldn't see that, what I was doing. I'll generally, we'll take this bush right here, for example, because it's the one where you notice the most, KR. When I make my bush with my colors, just say you just tapped in this bush here, I will then flip my brush over and I will paint the exact same shape, or actually I should probably do this in green. I will paint the exact same shape just like that. So that way I know I mimicked it perfectly. And then I would do the same thing with like this bush here, be like, okay, tap in my highlight here. Now I'm gonna put, you know, that bush in here, okay? Then I would take, you know, my brush and I'd pull this, not gonna look so cool, but trust me, I'd pull this down just like that and, you know, pull over to create my reflection point, just like that. There we go. So just remembering where you put your highlights has to be mimicked into the water. And that gets tough because it gets away from you real quickly. Now we got our foreground elements, which look beautiful, by the way. I love the little grass / mud that you got going on here. I love the flowers that were growing up. I would say since this is closer to us, spending a little more time on the foreground. Whoops, what color am I on? Oh, I'm still on my smudge tool. Derp. I would say spending a little more time on your flowers to stand out. Looks like you got some like smudge spots in here, which isn't tough or bad or anything. I just feel like since it's more closer to us, it should have a little more detail of what you have. I feel like these actually, whoops, I feel like these actually have a little more detail than what you have in the foreground element here. It isn't bad. I just think it could pay off a little bit. Your highlights and all that stuff on here looks fantastic. Your light source is coming from here, so I probably wouldn't put as many highlights on the tree here. On your branches and leaves, I'd probably put just a few more on this side and then fade them across. And then you have to think about, you technically flip-flopped what you were doing here. You establish this beautiful red-brown color as your highlight on your tree, but then your red-brown color is your shadow side over on this side. So you have to decide which one is actually your highlight color. Is it, gosh darn it, zoom, there we go. Is the red-brown your highlight, or is the yellow the highlight? Because if the yellow is the highlight, then you should probably put a brighter color up here and leave the darker color on this side. You mixed up the two, which isn't bad because it gives it a nice surreal focal point. But if you put the highlight up here to match the highlight on the bark, it would have a better payoff. Or if you put the highlight on the bark to match the highlight on the tree, like the brown, it would have a better payoff. And those are the only two things. Whoops, I don't know what I just opened. I somehow just opened up a shortcut to Microsoft Paint. Also, I would probably add a little bit of white on your mud here to add a little bit of specular highlight. You can tell you had a little bit here, but adding just a little bit more. It doesn't have to be pure white, just a brighter brown, perhaps. You'd have all these little specular highlights that I think would really pay off in the foreground. That would look awesome. That's okay, Lorraine. You don't have to apologize. Welcome back. We love you. You like, Pat, you like the paint breaks on the mountains and the highlights on the bushes. This right here, I don't know why. Dude, I don't know why. This bush speaks to me. I love this bush right here. It's not even a bush. This looks like a cluster of flowers. I just think it's so beautiful how you did it. Like, you just have like perfect shaping of it. In my opinion, I love it. I think it's great. That was more of a mud mixing issue, unfortunately. It's okay. I can't really say anything bad about this painting, dude. I think it's great. I think just getting a few more paint breaks of what you have, I would say probably, this is just a personal opinion, a personal taste. I think when you take your brush and you fade up, this point here, in my opinion, is further than this point here. So when you're tapping in your brush and working up and fading this up, you should fade this side a little bit more and this side not as much. So that way it pushes these peaks a little further back, and it'll make this striation stand out a little bit more. So it looks like the mountain's just ever so slightly closer to us, and the light has to cascade back and across on it. Those are like really the only things. Other than that, dude, I think you did fine. I think you did fine. I love the textures that you build in the tree. I love your mid-ground elements. I love these trees and how they stand out. Dude, I think it's great. I think it's great of what you have. Also, you had well, you already know it. My head's blocking it. You had a little bit of dryness down here. You could always just re-wet the canvas of what you had. Again, remember to keep the same shape of what you have. This tree is the biggest. This tree is the biggest, so it should stick down the longest. Then this one should go like to here. This one's the shortest. It should go to here. Trying to keep everything in perspective is tough, but only I would notice something like that. Nobody else would notice things like that. But KR, you paint so many good things. I'm not gonna be able to help you anymore soon. You're way better than me. Way better than me. I would only hope to paint this good. It's fantastic, dude. You did a great job. I love seeing you guys' art. You guys amaze me every single time. Every single time. I love it. I love it. Now you're making me want to paint today. You guys are so good. Oh, my sweet, merciful babies. I love what you guys have painted. We had some great paintings today. We had paintings from Baby, Kana, KR, Lorraine, Pat, and Ryan. You guys did so good. I love it. You guys made awesome art. My voice is starting to go out on me, which means it's time for me to go get some food. I want to thank all of our artists for submitting today. I want to thank all of you for hanging in here. Want to give a special shout out to Kimberly for the super chat. I really appreciate that. You are awesome. Thank you so much. You guys are great. We'll probably do this again next week. I love what you guys are painting. I got to think, maybe, I think what's going to be a good video for me to do is take one of my first paintings and critique it on kind of like the same formula, so that way it will help you guys out. But I've got some cool videos coming out. My next video, I got 2 videos coming out next week. One is on how to clean a paintbrush of something that I kind of discovered that I really like. I also have a painting that's going to be, it's almost like what we were just looking at. It's a soft lake painting that's beautiful, that I think actually a lot of you are going to like, that was done by Tally. That was a collaboration art piece that we did. If you haven't had a chance, today we released a painting video tutorial on how to paint a very simplistic nebula that we did together with Tally. That is a great one. Hopefully you guys like it. If you haven't seen it, please watch it, leave a comment. If you've already seen it, watch it again. I need the watch time. It helps me out. I really love it. So if you could, always make sure you watch the videos. Hey, Ryan, do you do critique portraits? If not so much. I am not a portrait artist, but I would be more than happy to take a look at anyone's art of any type across any medium. We are here to help with whatever we can. I do not know how to do portraits, but hell, I can still try to help with where I can. Kara says, I'm having trouble transitioning from my first passes to the actual skin color layer. My portraits look like they have sepia filter on them. I might be able to help with a little bit. I do figures, but they're more abstract figures. But that's just what I like to draw, but I'll be more than happy. So maybe next time, KR, feel free to submit. The Nebula video was actually really, I'm glad you liked it. It was actually a really fun video that we did. And it's funny to see how Tally does his Nebula different than my Nebula. So what I'm going to do is, I always get messages and comments for our acrylic tutorials. And so Tally's an acrylic artist. I work in acrylic sometimes, but not all the times. So it's fun to see him approach a painting versus me do one, because we do it so differently. And one of the videos I have coming out, not next week, but probably the week after, we tried to do a painting with a suggestion from somebody that left a comment a long time ago using a particular medium. And so we had Tally paint with it, and then I had myself paint with it to see what we could get done. Not going to spoil anything with you, but we were surprised. And it's cool to see different people paint different ways, because his approach is so sporadic, where mine is working with different lightnesses of colors and then working forward, where his is kind of like all over the place, but it works for him. And that's what makes art so cool, is seeing somebody's different approach. You could have Tally as a guest one week. Tally, I don't know if Tally would like to review people's art, but we could probably do that. We could probably do a collaboration. Tally doesn't live near me. Tally lives in Arizona, and he comes out here and visits me all the time to come out and have fun and do art when he gets off time from work. But we could maybe do that in the future. We could have him telecast with me, or maybe one of these days he could do a review if you guys like that. He's a very eccentric guy, going a 50 miles per hour per minute. He's a fun dude and a great artist. I'm glad that you like it, KR. We'll be doing it again. If you guys haven't a chance, you can keep up with all my stuff on Instagram and Twitter. Links to all that stuff is down in the show notes below. I love growing with all you guys, especially if you guys are new to the channel. And if you like keeping up with this, hey, don't forget to like, subscribe. You can also show your appreciation through the super thanks. And if you stuck in here all the way to the end, I appreciate your viewership. And if you're watching this on the VOD, I will catch you guys all later. I'm going to go have some fun now. Thanks for checking out. It's going to hit 95 degrees here in California. So I'm probably going to oil up my body and go hit the pool and, you know, flex out to the single moms. Oh, awesome. Thank you, baby. Don't forget to send me that message, because I'd love to learn more about it so I can make some videos on it. I will catch you guys all later. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me cue this up here. And have a good one. Take care. And, of course, peace. Have a good weekend, guys.